Rookie there. You seem frozen.
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'm sorry. Um,
All right, then.
Hold on. And we're live.
All right,
Yeah,
so we're
okay.
live.
All right. How's it going, guys? I don't know if I even asked that. I've been sitting here for a second.
Well, if we were frozen there for a few seconds, fantastic. Either way, today we will be touching on artificial intelligence,
I'm ready.
the risks, the benefits, everything that is touching on society and will
As much as
in
we can get
in the
to.
future. Yeah, as much as we can get to.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a good way to put it. The benefits and not benefits.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh man, it's so cold here. Is it cold where you guys are at?
yeah.
It's just barely 50. That's pretty
It's
So
funny
cool.
how we say we're cold and you're not, but you're the one with the hoodie on.
I guess the snow didn't get down to you, Mark.
The hoodie is just stealth on this black chair background, but I'm
Gotcha.
nicely insulated here. So,
Ooh, that's
yeah.
good.
All right. Mark, you
So,
want to get started? Oh, go
do
ahead.
I want to get started?
Would you like to start it?
I don't
Let me not put
particularly
you on
want
the
to.
spot and let me just
Yeah, I don't
move into
particularly
it.
want to start. I didn't have a particular starting point in mind.
You know, you did make me think of something there when you're putting your hood on. Uh, this wasn't off the top of my head, but this has been in the news a lot lately for the past 3 weeks. It's very unfortunate, but the kidnapping of Savannah Guthrie's, I think, is her name Savannah Guthrie, but um, the mother, talk show host, has been kidnapped, and they've been using this uh, very high technology, very uh, sophisticated data collecting technology from the door, and from uh, the scene, the crime scene. Um, I'd like to know whether it's worth living in a society that has such high data collection, uh, can see everything from everywhere. Uh, and yes, they may catch uh, the person, but uh, everything can see you. Everything can uh, they can see you from. And as this relates to AI, uh, yeah, they've got you nailed down with your phones, with your you know what you know, they know. They, when I say they, I mean the uh
AR?
The
AI. I
greater
had
diffuse apparatus of authority.
yeah the companies that uh, run these particular servers and uh you know uh
Uh, Oh, so the companies actually have the data that then the government has to go and request access from. The company has it first. Is that what you're getting at? Or just the fact that it's available,
The fact
period?
that it's available,
Yeah.
it exists, and it exists in that web of AI, which can mean several things. It could mean one, um, yeah, I mean, we're all in the network. It can help you as far as, I don't know, purchases or buying, but there's a huge bias against certain people, and all companies use AI now for hiring purposes, and mistakes are made in AI algorithms. So uh, it could come up as uh, if you don't want to put that you're disabled or a certain race or uh, anything, it will show up in the AI pool. And
What
uh,
the answer will show up anyway, or the fact that you decide decline to respond, or both?
yes, yes,
Yes, to everything.
yeah,
I
they
mean, yeah,
know
it knows
they
everything.
they know things beyond. Yes, the company and will get all information on you. They will get this podcast that we're making. They will get,
I
yeah,
mean, we're giving them the podcast.
I was gonna say they're watching it for free. Well, everyone's essentially watching it for free, but they're getting
Like
it.
and subscribe, right?
Yeah, AI, like and subscribe.
right, right. Well, of course, but why would this be relevant to a job I'm applying for in 10 years?
Mm.
So it's developing into something akin to the social credit system in China, where the cameras and facial tracking and everything everywhere you go, everything you do is um, recorded and documented, and everything negative that you've done will impact your ability to get a job, position, placement, because it's all, communist. It's all like linked and government controlled. And so, if you're not in the government's good graces, then you're you're on the outs in all of society, basically.
Oh,
So
I would say
something like
it's
a
more,
techno technocracy or something where the companies have this data and then they in turn can decide whether or not they want to hire people based on information that they knew and collected from their smart television like 10 years before and kept anyway because we all clicked and agreed to terms and service.
Right. Everybody clicks that little box, agree, and you don't read the 30 paragraphs it says about them taking your information and using apps that, I mean, paying attention when you're using other apps so it can use that information when you go to Google search something.
that's
I
because
read
of
those and I still clicked it.
the modern day ghouls and demons called lawyers. they speak in tongues and they can write that language, and we can't read it. We don't know what it means. There's a
We got
great
to use ChatGPT to translate it for us.
right,
It's
exactly.
circular. Oh, wow. Wow.
My mom
Can we
always used to
trust
always. My mom's
ChatGPT
always telling
to
me, watch what
honestly
you put on the
someone
internet.
It's very correct.
do what?
Yeah. Mom said she's always paying attention and she always says, watch what you're putting on the internet. Once
Mm,
it's there, it's going nowhere. Yeah. So, I
yeah.
mean, that's how people get exposed 10 years down the line. They get famous and they had a video 10 years ago or something. And they said something that a word that isn't used these days. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
10
Very
years
much
ago,
so.
this
Interesting.
person called someone, 10 years ago, this person called someone gay or something. And now they're losing their whole career in life because they used the word gay 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And they weren't paying attention that they let AI pay attention to all their apps and stuff.
Hmm.
They're logging everything. I'm not sure what to tell what to tell them on this podcast now that I think about it. Um, yeah.
Well, the fascination is company values. Is the company value? And that was such a strong thing uh, for a long time. And if your values did not align with the company, such as, you know, uh, maybe I should be leaning into this, but uh, yeah, they would they could use AI to, um, you know, if you said something that did not agree with that company, they would release you from the company. Uh, yeah.
Wait, say that again?
Okay. Uh, all right. Like my LinkedIn page, uh, is I haven't updated it in years, but it's all about, you know, uh, uh, DEI and how I love Philadelphia. Uh, I think people have sort of leaned back on DEI, and uh, so that's not as popular as it was uh, 20 years ago or 15 years ago. So uh, that might be uh, 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 backfire on my part. Um,
Having had included it at any point, you think might end up
yeah,
being
well, I
some.
just haven't changed it because nobody, does anybody go on LinkedIn? I mean,
I I
I
haven't.
do not.
No.
What is
no,
that for?
It's like
that's
a
supposed to, it's supposed to be linking yourself to, it's supposed to be building a network to find jobs, but I don't
yeah,
think
it's like
Yeah.
Facebook for corporate job placement interviews and networking and stuff and make important people feel important or make
Hmm.
less important people feel more important by virtue of connection to important people or something. I don't know. The whole networking thing never really made any sense to me. And that's probably why I never really went anywhere in like the corporate hierarchy ladder.
it is a very important thing, though. And that was the one thing I realized in hindsight, because you're always selling yourself, no matter what business you're in, you're selling yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I,
thought that having a a STEM field position meant I would be working science and engineering, not on sales. Uh,
And yep.
Um,
So, uh, you got something?
I was just gonna say, just like everything else I looked for, with AI stuff, I had an article, but now it's trying to charge me just to look at it. It's like
oh,
$3.99. View now.
Hmm.
Any information I find about AI, they definitely got want to make you charge you for it. Um, $3.99, and I'm not doing that. But I did have some other articles here about that, about AI. I'm just sorry you guys can't find it, but it's here somewhere. 30 different devices on my desk, so give me a second.
well, that's something I kind of think might be worth discussing or addressing. Kevin, what do you think about the term AI in and of itself? Do you think that term is appropriate for what these tools are? Do you, um,
Yes,
because I,
it meets that standard. It's not conscious. It does not meet the standards of consciousness, and it is just um, intelligence that is programmed to um, gather data,
oh,
and
okay.
it is intelligent. Uh,
I feel like that term is misleading though, and kind of tends to, um, perhaps intelligent, as you just said, and we're using it in the technical sense, might mislead um, mislead people not in the STEM field to think of these like anthropomorphize these LLMs and other deep learning algorithms in a way that they um, maybe don't deserve to be. Or maybe I'm biased. I don't know. What do you? I haven't really had anybody to talk to about this, or well, no, I haven't talked to anybody about this, I guess would probably be the more accurate way to put it. Um,
so, what are we looking at? What are we? What's the
I've been kind of brewing in my own opinion that calling these tools and these programs and these companies artificial intelligent or artificially intelligent, I think is a misleading
all right?
term. I think that it's tending to get people to think of these chat programs as um, more than what they are, um, or these, that um,
Well,
uh,
okay. Well, they
neural
are
network
certainly
tools that
artificially designed,
yeah,
and their intelligence, they can create things.
I mean, so can I don't know,
Um,
so can a graphing calculator.
um, what do you guys think about uh when they say like smart thermostat and stuff like that? I was talking to my neighbor yesterday and just
Oh,
I talked to everybody about the podcast, try to get people in. But he was like, "What do you guys think about these devices around the house that have AI and they turn on when you're not home and stuff like that?" And I thought that may be something interesting because he said he has the smart thermostat. What do you guys think about those? Just doing stuff for you when you're not aware.
I mean, isn't that what a thermostat did anyway? Kept your house cool for you while you weren't around without you having to fiddle with temperature manually.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
I mean, I get what they're saying with, smart thermostat, trying to upsell it, and that it is probably a lot more sophisticated than just a standard, you know,
Yeah.
temperature
Um,
control type, single variable, but
me and
still,
him, we talked about like there's other things in his house he named. I just can't remember. Oh, like I forgot what he named it. The little robot that vacuums. He has all kinds
the
of things in his
Roomba,
house that he was like, I wonder if these things are doing stuff when I'm not home because he doesn't have cameras in his house. Like I asked him, but he was like, what if this I think it's like a vacuum thing? It goes on by itself. I think he said something like that. No idea what he's talking about. I think I should have looked it up. They have robot vacuums.
Roomba?
And his vacuum will vacuum while he's not home.
yeah, yeah, it's just little like round disc things that just kind of scoot around the
Oh
floor.
man, I gotta look this
Mhm.
stuff up.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
those have been
never
around
seen
for
a
a while.
Roomba?
Yeah,
Yeah.
A what?
Roomba.
Roomba.
That's what he said. A Roomba.
R
Uh,
yeah, R O O
no,
M B
haven't seen
A.
one personally. Not even online.
I haven't seen one personally. Like,
I haven't even
I
seen
think
one online. That would be kind of interesting if I'm just like sleeping and I hear the vacuum down the hallway. It thinks the living room is dirty or something. You know what I mean? That would be interesting.
but I think those you just set a time window that you want it to run and it runs for you. So,
Oh,
if
okay.
you're
I thought it was
if
just
you're
like I thought it was just
well,
like
I don't
when it felt like it was dirty to clean or something like that.
maybe there's something to it that, there's some adaptive algorithm that picks up on your presence at home based on temperature settings. Maybe the thermostat needs to work a little bit harder when you're present because of your metabolism and the body heat and stuff. So it has to cool a little bit so it knows you're around and it doesn't turn on the robot because the thermostat is telling it no. And that might be the smart part about it. Uh, it still seems a little excessive to kind of integrate and automate a lot of these things. I get that, you know, it's the wave of the future or whatever, but so were 3D TVs. I
A
don't
lot of
think
these are
we're
just
seeing.
creature comforts. You
Yeah.
can set your coffee uh, maker to just go on at 6 a.m. But there's a lot of problems with these because of uh, are they on Bluetooth? Because um,
Might
I
be.
don't think they are, since they are a smart device. Um,
Might be
Wait,
Wi-Fi.
so now that you say that, that makes me think about it because I think there was a lawsuit last year where they said that Siri was listening to us. It's
Yeah.
like ahead of time. You ever call out for Siri and you say something before the mark even comes on the screen, and then it handles it? Because they're
Well, I don't
usually, I
know.
guess, it's just they're listening to us before we start talking. So
Yeah. Hey,
pay
Alexa.
attention to that too. But I mean, yeah. You
Yeah.
guys ever heard of Andrew Yang, the politician? Politician. He
Uh,
writes books.
The name sounds familiar, but that doesn't mean it's actually familiar. Um,
He wrote the book, The War on Normal People.
um, I don't
I'm
know.
not sure if you guys read books. Oh,
I
but yeah,
I
he
try
said that
to. I
AI
claim to
is
read
gonna.
more books than I actually end up finishing.
Yeah,
But
I started reading it and I didn't finish, but I felt really smart saying I read a book. I read some of it. But yeah,
NG, Andrew NG, Ing,
Yang. Um,
Yang,
hold on,
because there's Andrew Ing,
Andrew Yang.
NG, who's actually a computer scientist. Um,
Uh, this is what he says though. I'm gonna read
entrepreneur.
this because I found this by him. It says Andrew Yang says mass white collar layoffs are closer than people think. You guys think about that? You guys believe that? I think that's going to be a problem soon. That's when it's going to
Yeah,
become a problem. Is when it stops people from getting money who are making large amounts of money. I think
Who
yeah.
are
that's when it
making
makes a
large
difference,
amounts
and
of
that's
money.
when they make a big deal out of it. Is when they start losing money.
I definitely wanted to touch on this, the job displacement and um, the yeah, pretty much anything. So many jobs that they're just even small robots can just do little. Uh, I don't know. They can work at shopping, shopping. Uh, I don't know. Uh, yeah, they can do. They can take the place of so many jobs, and it's becoming a real problem. I'm gonna look something up.
They need
Yeah, Mark,
they
you remember
need
when
to,
Reese was here, right?
huh?
I said, you remember when Reese was here, right? You probably
Uh,
don't remember her. She was always the one worried about her losing her job to AI, and she's an accountant. And the things which she was explaining to me how she could use it. I mean, lose her job. I was clueless of what she was talking about AI back then. Um, but yeah, Mark, you think you're gonna? Oh, you don't have a job to lose. I don't know why I almost said that. Um, you guys think anyone that you know is gonna lose employment because of AI?
no,
Uh, mm, I was gonna say because of someone else, but no. I'm looking up something. I gotta fix my computer. It's
I
really
don't. There's a factor that needs to be um, considered with all of this before any of that can take place is the training of these um, entities, whatever form they take. It needs to take place. You know, the robot um, uh, stock clerk or the robot um, um, um,
care
accountant,
about the robots.
either
What are
one.
people gonna do? What are people gonna do? I think
Uh,
we're just gonna have people walking around like, what the hell are we gonna do? It's,
um, Let me read this article.
Well,
The one someone wrote about Andrew Yang. It says expect to see your local Starbucks soon to be full of middle-aged former office workers, says Andrew Yang. The Forward Party founder and former presidential candidate said AI will kick millions of white-collar workers to the curb in the next 12 to 18 months in a post on a Substack on Monday. Yang said when the company begins to shrink its workforce, its competitors will follow suit. It will become competition because the stock market will reward you if you cut headcount and punish you if you don't. Yang has a long warned about the impact of automation on jobs. He had previously told the New York Times in 2018 that he predicted self-driving cars would replace. Oh wow! Self-driving cars would displace truck drivers, a shift that could destabilize society and provoke riots in the street.
When did he predict it? When did he predict it would
This was in
happen?
2018.
Okay, when did he say it was going to supposedly happen? Because we're still waiting for those self-driving trucks, replacing all of those truckers. He's touting himself on prophecies that have yet to come true. And he's a a politician, and um, I mean, he has everything to gain from all of this fear mongering and no reason to really be honest if any of this is not true. Um,
Right.
I don't know. I wouldn't. That's not to say he's wrong either, necessarily, but there's a lot more than just what he's saying. And the fact of the matter is, oh, kitty. The fact of the matter is, the United States power grid does not have the capacity to do what he's saying. It cannot scale up to that degree. The amount of computing power that it takes to run these LLMs is gigantic, and replacing every segment of the job market with these computations is not something that the current power plants and everything has the ability to do. That alone means that he's not going to be right. I mean, any other factors really, I don't necessarily need to address because, there are other, like, what company is building these, and these automated workers that are going to replace all of these people in 12 to 18 months? Which company is doing it? What's their product that, who um there's, I don't know. I
I mean,
I
what's the benefit to
don't
replacing humans?
well,
Money. They don't have to pay them.
right.
Oh, perfect.
Sure, they got to pay
Uh,
power bills, which less than a worker maybe. Um, but where are these um, uh, neural network accountants coming from? Where? Um, I don't know. I don't think that. I don't know.
what do you think about AI movies?
It sounds terrible.
Terrible.
Oh yeah, I watched one yesterday just to get ready for this. I had to watch one yesterday. Um, it was okay, I guess. There was no talking from the person. It was kind of just narrated by someone as the other person goes along throughout the world, and it wasn't that
But
interesting.
once again, that is a union that takes up a lot of money. I mean, they could just easily get rid of it, and
That would kind of replace directors.
yeah, they could
There's,
replace their why do that? And it
there,
could just be, Hollywood, the SAG people, no, is that the right one?
Screen
SAG
Actors
after.
Guild. Yeah.
Yeah, why deal with them? Why pay all these actors so much? They could. The bottom line is money, and if they make crap movies, who gives a no one gets hurt for that. It's just
I mean,
They don't lose a
people,
people.
lot because they don't pay
people,
anyone.
Mm,
people watch the first handful for the novelty, but I don't think that there's um, any real threat to any of this until or unless there's uh, a massive change, a massive leap in the paradigm, because currently there's no understanding of any sort of symbolism or abstraction in any anything that they create. It's, you know, a surface level narration at best. And, there's a straightforward progression, but there's nothing deeper there because these um, models are not alive. They're not sentient, and there's no consciousness, no depth of experience having collected and associated into their learning. That's another problem that really is not being discussed as these um, models are not, or they are not capable of learning on the fly, on the go. Their knowledge is crystallized at the time of their release. They're trained and given all of this information and trained and worked and worked and trained and this and that, and then there's a product. They're putting to put on guardrails and whatnot to keep it from um, whatever overreach or misbehavior they can predict, and then they release it, and people interact with it, but they can't. It doesn't continue any sort of development. It doesn't continue any additional aggregation of skill or appreciation of the experience of its operation. It simply operates on the silicon, just power running through it, electricity and waste heat, a lot of waste heat, major draw on the power grid. But are
Do you
these
think that will
going to
be
be
the?
consuming and exuding more electric or more thermal waste heat, that is, than the worker and their equipment would have emitted? Will it
Uh, you,
just, it would even, I don't know, because there's even an environmentalist argument to be made here. Global um, heat and power consumption. Um, are these robots going to um, put out more waste heat than the worker would have? And if so, combining that with the power draw on the power grid and the additional waste heat, and pollution because the majority of the US power grid is still operating on fossil fuels. Um, they're a lot cleaner than they used to be, for sure. Natural gas is a lot better than a lot of people realize, but that's the fastest route to scaling up the power grid is natural gas turbines because large coal plants take a long time. Nuclear has a lot of legislative hurdles. Wind is unpredictable and only viable in certain parts of the country where wind can be predicted, where it's consistent. And even then, it's not necessarily always consistent. It's not consistent enough to be 100% of the power supply at any of those locations. So there's always still got to be a backup with some sort of fossil fuel, usually natural gas. And yeah, so that's why these data centers are such a big thing for these AI companies. They need processing power to train and run, and they need power plants. They're proposing building their own power plants in a lot of these locations because they can't run without it. And all of that, all of those power plants, all of that waste heat is still going out into the atmosphere like any of those power plants would have before. It's it it almost seems like we're trending towards a dystopian future where the entire surface of the planet is covered with either a power plant or a data center of some sort. People have to move to Mars simply because that's the only place it's not covered by power plant or cooling center of some sort, you know. Um,
There's no gas on Mars.
right. Well, you know,
If we're gonna keep dry
yeah,
humping gas, then
yeah.
sorry,
We
there's
got to
no going to
figure it out.
Mars.
At least we at least got to keep enough kerosene around to fuel our last rocket off the planet.
That's a 19th century fuel.
Yeah,
Seriously? Oh
yeah,
my God.
yeah,
Um, what was that? What was it? I
yeah.
forgot what I
That's
was
what
saying.
SpaceX uses for their rockets.
People with jobs like in call centers and stuff like that, they're already getting replaced by AI. I noticed there was, I think it was T-Mobile. I used to pay my bill, just call in and tell the guy, you know, how much I want to pay. He puts my card number and stuff in. And now when I call, it tells me do it over the computer. I mean, do it over the computer service with the person. I mean, not the person, and you save $10. I'm like, okay, well, they just put a lot of people out of jobs. They're like, if you call and do it over this talking phone, it's much easier. That's already taken jobs right there because there's a lot of call centers. And if those call centers are all replaced by AI and someone telling you you could save money using the AI, that of course would take everything because I don't pay that extra $10 anymore. Um,
Well, yeah, those
so they
jobs
got
though
me.
are call centers overseas. So what's going to
Mm.
happen to over there? Is there going to be a job shortage with the overseas labor being replaced? Or is it only American labor that will be feasible to be replaced? That push recently I heard somewhere for American jobs, American manufacturing, Americans making stuff. Well, Americans are too expensive to even have paid before. We got to make those robots cheaper to operate than overseas counterparts. Um, are we basically replacing only our own workforce? Will these robots be inexpensive enough to replace, overseas labor as well? And what's going to happen to their power grids? Oh my gosh. They can't
I
do
read a
Yeah,
survey that
any of those data centers.
I think
I
China
read a
will
survey
perhaps.
that said people would rather date AI. Um,
Oh,
and yeah, the first person has officially married an AI, and it's
oh,
legal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is
look it up.
fun. Yeah.
oh,
A lady
Okay.
she married AI, built it, she talked to it, she got to know it, and she married it.
Hmm.
And it was in China, I believe, and it's legal. So
Japan, Japan. Uh, several people
Japan,
in Japan
yep.
have done this, and yeah, uh, end of story. They talk to their smartwatch and they look into it and talk see a person. I don't know. Uh,
I think that's
thoughts.
dangerous.
This
What
is
do you guys think about home health nurses and caretakers and care providers? Um, they can't be replaced. Someone said in the comments.
yeah, that's one of the biggest growing jobs in the country is pretty much taking care of other people. And but AI can be really good for people with disabilities. I mean, and people who are injured and uh, uh, basically implants and stuff. A lot of epileptics use the Apple Watch and stuff. I'm assuming that has some elements of yeah. They have some elements of AI in them. So there's good elements to this, but the bad elements of what were we talking about? Health, did you
Um,
mention? Um,
oh no, I was just saying like home healthcare workers. That's a growing business, but yeah, that's
yeah,
one that might not be replaced because replacing humans doing healthcare, you might have to make a doctor, some robot doctor or something. You know what I mean?
I
Elon's talked
I'd
about
rather have
that.
a human work on me than a robot. I mean,
Mm.
some would beg to differ, but if they were to
mhm.
remove doctors and like make surgeons robots, yeah, I gotta stick with the doctor. Stick with the doc I've been dealing with since pediatrics. Yeah, my doctors they all moved to the next level when I moved, which was yeah.
They wanted to stick with you, not the other
Yeah,
way around. We
I'm assuming
got,
it
we
was me.
gotta,
Maybe they wouldn't stick
we
with
gotta
me.
stay. Yeah, we gotta watch this interesting kid. He's gonna grow up to be a pretty cool dude.
Oh man,
So
I guess yeah. Once I had epilepsy, I think all the doctors I met once I got epilepsy, I think I just kind of rolled on through them. My neurologist was the first one to retire out of those people, out of my pediatric doctors and neurologists and other people. Yeah, now I need a new neurologist.
So you brought up the digital wedding or what, right?
Yeah,
Something to an AI agent. Um,
yeah.
did they say uh which LLM was used? Who, like, which company did she marry?
I believe it was Chat GTP.
Okay.
It's a very kiss ass
Uh,
platform.
Yeah. Yeah, it would have been surprising to marry Grok. That would have been a little bit healthier, I think, if anything, though. Um, It's important, I think, um, to experience some sort of like resistance or pushback from somebody in any sort of relationship, whether it's a romantic relationship or just a friendship. You know, normal people don't just agree and, um, you know, kiss ass like that so much when they're spending that much time together. Like the telling people no sometimes is an important thing, especially in a partnership. And I suppose, well, I don't know. I suppose she's basically just living alone, right? There's not that much difference between her living alone and her living with her married chat GPT avatar thing on her phone wherever she happens to live, right? Pretty much the same thing. Uh, I don't know. What do you
This
think?
brings me to, so I'll get back to that in a second. Um, I wanted to bring up what I think is one of the worst effects of AI. It's made everything very convenient. We can do things. We we can do possibilities. I'll talk about those later. But just have you noticed a large cognitive atrophy in this country or the world? Has the world gotten stupid?
With smart devices, I
Um,
think, because we don't have to do things anymore. Like I turned off
Have
my autocorrect because that for a lot of people, you're not learning. Kids aren't learning how to spell these days because they put three letters and it spells the rest of the word.
has
I had to
yeah
turn that off to, yeah, I turned it off. My spelling is okay, and I use a keyboard a lot, so yeah,
has the
autocorrect isn't there on mine.
has the world gotten dumber, or have AI agents simply made it easier for the stupid to rise up to the surface?
maybe I should specify. Have we lost our have we become less intelligent? Have we lost our ability to empathize and sympathize? Have we lost our uh, social capabilities? Have we been uh, hurt in all these areas? Our ability to just exist as a social tribe. I mean, have, yeah, have we stayed taken a step back? And that's what cognitive is. It's not just intelligence. It's the whole package. It's emotions, and are we
Reason,
emotionally stunted?
yeah, reasoning and
Um,
experience and pattern recognition, and yeah, there's a lot more to, and a lot of
And
that can't be um, created or simulated or processed or whatever by means of any sort of LLM mechanism too. So that's something that, if we're offloading that to AI, then the AI isn't even doing that well either. So, um, yeah,
um,
I think you're definitely onto something. Um, um, yeah, cognitive atrophy for sure. Um, is is um, is something that exists. Use it or lose it. And yeah,
Right. Oh yeah. I think because I mean you have a tool and like a pencil and it's just used to write, but it's not doing the writing for you. Or a computer, you type into it and it's not doing the typing for you. This seems to be writing resumes for people. They're not doing the thinking and they're not doing the emotional thinking when they talk to people on text or um, I saw some very disturbing numbers about uh, dating. I'll have to bring them up, but dating among the generations. And I've heard that Gen Z is the first generation to be less educated and intelligent than the previous generation.
what
There's a
I mean, that would be, I would be interested to know what metrics they used for that. Like um
Well, like only
a bunch of
22% of them aren't proficient in reading. Is that a
yeah,
good
is
metric?
that the AI though, or is that a failure
That's
of
not
the
AI.
school
Well,
system?
I'm sure AI definitely messed and hurt that, but
Yeah, it might help make up the gap for that in a weird roundabout way. It might be helpful for that failure.
that's interesting. The technology could come back as a really good teaching aid. Um,
Kind of
yeah.
like calculators in classrooms were thought to be, you know, antithetical to learning. In
mhm,
engineering school, you had to know how to use a
Yeah.
slide rule, or you were
Now,
not going to get your degree. And eventually, a couple schools allowed a basic calculator, but a graphing calculator meant you weren't doing your own internal reasoning.
research
And then,
or the one when doing your own
well,
work.
you're
But
like
for us,
picturing the graph, picturing the data points from just looking at the equation, knowing how it would be shaped, you know. That's an important thing for demonstrating knowledge of having comprehended what was being taught at the time. But once you move past that level of teaching that mathematics, then going beyond that, it simply becomes a bottleneck for demonstrating proficiency in the next subject that, uses or builds on that tool. So in that sense,
um,
they've each been demonized and then embraced. So this might
um,
be the same. I can't believe I'm playing devil's advocate for the AI. Oh my gosh.
um, for
I
for
guess that
kids
is a
these
good
days,
one. I'm steel manning it, as they say, right? Isn't that?
for
Yeah.
for kids these days, I did notice that like when I get the syllabus for what my kids need, they name the type of calculator that you got to get for that
Yes.
school year in that
Texas
class.
Instruments TI-86, TI-89. Yeah,
Yeah.
they
Um,
were very specific in college too.
yeah. Also, there's a comment here. It says, if epilepsy is a form of electrical disruption in our neural pathways, what would it look like in AI? That's from Angel.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Can I request a quick pee break and then come back and we can talk about that?
Angel, what do you think about this pee break? Tell us in the comments. No, I'm
Oh,
kidding. Go ahead, Mark.
that
How do you think AI is going to affect the children of this generation?
Uh, they'll get over it, but
Don't get over it.
uh,
It's going to take a lot of jobs from them because they're coming up. People who already have those jobs locked in, like been working there for years and stuff, might be harder for newer generations to get in some of those fields where they're like, ah, we can hire a robot. We don't have to hire this kid
I said
just
this
got out of
earlier.
college.
There's what jobs are there going to be people? I'm sure there's always something to do because you know I saw the unemployment rate was 4.5 or something, which is really good. I mean, that's a good unemployment rate. Um, but I just if they keep thinking of devices to eliminate human workers, I don't know, like people work at call centers and that employs thousands of people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So, but this generation, okay, like what you and I, uh, we basically grew up in the 90s, right? As kids, and
Right.
uh, it
You and
wasn't
Mark
it
did it.
wasn't oh yeah, and it wasn't that bad. And like we didn't go through any horrible horrible things, I don't think. Um, but 20-year-olds and teens over the past 10 years, it must be really crappy for them because over the 11 past 10 years, they've gone through a lot of crap. I'll give them a lot of sympathy. And yeah, so I can see why they aren't as uh, perhaps emotionally or intellectually adjusted. Uh,
Um, what do you guys think about? Yeah, you said they aren't emotionally adjusted. Um, I read a lot of fucking documentaries and all. I mean, I watch a lot of documentaries and read all kinds of articles about all kinds of stuff. But what do you guys think about when these robots are going to be caretakers to children? Because I did read an article that said how the Tesla bot basically is going to be cooking and doing all kinds of stuff. And then there was an article that said, well, what do you guys think about child's care with it? And it was saying basically it's going to do what it's told. Um, if you tell a Tesla bot to watch your kid, what do you guys think of that? I don't trust it to watch my kid. I think my kid would probably take advantage of it and they'd probably get in an argument because there's going to
better
be a
to
power
send the
struggle.
Tesla bot off to work and stay home with your kid than the other way around.
is it like
Just,
Thelma
just
from the Jetsons?
yeah.
Mm.
Okay, creepy. Well,
Trust it.
yeah, no, no, I would not trust with a early version of a housekeeper, you know.
That would be hilarious. My kids would take over a robot. They'd
Yeah,
have it doing all kinds of stuff. Can you go get this out of
uh,
the kitchen? Can you go grab this? I can
Yeah.
imagine my kids would just use that to their advantage.
I mean,
Uh,
at first it would probably be able to handle babies or toddlers, but at some point that it would become a puzzle for the kids to solve how to get around rather than something to actually keep the kids in control. But I don't know. I think that's a dangerous um dangerous route. to go under. There's such a high degree of novelty that exists in the realm of childcare that a neural network on a humanoid robot would not be able to predict or adjust to well enough to have any sort of safety margins that, you know, would be reliable. What, I mean, that's a question. That's a question now. What degree of safety margin would a company consider acceptable when it is responsible for taking care of somebody else's children? What do they think is
Um,
okay to risk your kids on?
that's what I was thinking. I haven't exactly seen any articles or anything about people actually using it for their children, but they said they could, and then they had all kinds of people like, "Oh no, I wouldn't do it for this, and I wouldn't do it for that." There's a lot of opinions on it, and there was, yeah, it looked like it might be pretty simple for the robot, but I assume as the kid gets older, they would grow with what the kid likes and all that. And my kids are older now, so I mean, yeah,
I mean,
it wouldn't work
there's
for me. I don't need childcare.
there's no way it would be able to keep everything under control to a degree that's,
It
maybe
it would
in
stop.
tiny little windows like self-parking mode on early cars or self-driving cars and whatnot.
What if it had a TV on it?
Let it parallel park
Oh,
your child care, but only the parallel parking.
mm,
Um,
yeah.
I don't,
Uh,
I don't know. I would not. I mean, I don't know. This is again, I think,
um,
a symptom of people giving these tools too much credit. They're not, they're not intelligent in the way that is required for healthy upbringing of a human child. And even if they were, that is not an appropriate use for them. And I don't know. I am a strong believer in the family unit, um, in terms of like uh, childhood outcome. I think that that's the best way to ensure that, you know, children grow up well. There's no Can't
um,
think of any way to say it more eloquently, but children grow up good, grow up
Would it
well.
make you feel better if the robot was married?
Robots can
The,
marry
the,
each other
the
as much as
that would
they
be a
want. I
strong
don't
family
care,
unit.
but as I don't know. Putting that chat GPT bot that lady married into a humanoid robot, is that what you mean? Let that
No,
marry
I'm
the
just
person?
throwing stuff out there. Strong
Yeah,
family unit, two robots getting
two,
married.
well,
Then you got a unit
but what do
right
you think
there.
two
about like
robots can marry each other and assemble a small sub-robot and raise that small robot however they want to and drive it to and from robot school in their self-driving Teslas. That's fine, but the robot's not going to raise my kid for me.
And then before you
what do
know it, we
Gosh
got
darn.
people coming back to protect John Connors.
what do you guys think about
That's a
like
that's a
with
reference.
Or what do you guys think about like when robots come back to take over or something? Or like what if they kidnap someone? Or I don't know if you guys seen I, Robot, but the robot got mad. He's like, I did not murder him. What if they start getting emotions like that?
You
Or
were
like in the movie, the robot said he told me to murder him. So what about things like that? That's going to be messed up and hard to correct.
you were two steps ahead of me. John Connors. That's what John. They came back to kill John Connors. Um, um, yeah. It,
Mm.
That
were
require
you talking about time travel or
that
Well, I'm talking about
requires
what these robots come back to take over, you know? What if they get
okay, yeah.
control of themselves and they can control other robots and stuff like that, like the movie I, Robot, you know?
okay.
There
So
took
Oh,
one
right.
robot, takes one
once
spoiled apple to roll the
there
bunch, as they would say.
once the intelligence is put into a humanoid robot, then they can do anything and everything that we can. And because um, the concept of AI has been hyped as being smarter and
Smarter,
more efficient and whatnot,
cheaper.
everything humans can do, then that means that we can just um, assume that these robots are going to form and pose a clear and present danger to us because, right? Why wouldn't
Mhm.
they? A smarter, more intelligent humanoid entity. What use would it have for us? But that's part of what I think is, or what I was talking about earlier when I was talking about conflating the two, or the idea, or the use of intelligence, giving these tools too much credit because don't, um, they don't have that kind of capacity to do anything like to that scale, to an emotion. That's something that
Right.
there can be simulations of emotional display, and that, those simulations might fool some people too, but who knows? But I think that the concept of having a big mass robot takeover
One
is
second.
something that
Emotional dis
is
that, those simulations might fool some
it's
people
something
too.
that
But,
we're
who
getting.
knows?
Um,
But I think that the
there's
concept
there's
of
an echo
having
here,
a
I
big
think.
mass robot takeover
Okay.
is something.
Okay. Okay.
Those simulations might fool some people too. But,
We're coming back. I don't know. Um, I don't know. Should we wait for Pookie to figure it out?
Yeah, we're good.
I kind of don't want to forget this thought. I think that the reason that we're having um this big hype of the idea of a robot takeover is, and I've seen on YouTube like videos of people talking about talking to ChatGPT, like, hey, ChatGPT, if you were an AI, what would you do to da 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 or something? And it
Right.
writes out some gigantic conspiracy that sounds like it's playing out exactly like what we're seeing now and stuff. The only reason we're getting stuff like that shown to us is because we humans have written those stories before any sort of AI, any sort of LLM was ever formed. And those were included in the training data for these language models. So that's what they're told.
It's gathering
There's,
our information and using it, regurgitating it.
yeah, it's just telling us that the AI takeover is proceeding exactly like what we're seeing now, because before it was even crystallized, it was given training data that told it that the AI takeover would proceed exactly like what we're seeing now.
Here. If if AI is just essentially just a regurgitation, um, do you think the human brain is a regurgitator as well? That nothing in or mm, uh, how do I put this? Uh, Everything is basically an evolution down the line. There's nothing truly original about what we think. We take something and maybe change it a little as we go down the generations.
I would strongly disagree. I think that um, novel information and um, um, artistry is produced um, all the time. Um, Simply because something is built upon the work of something before, it doesn't mean that it's not original in and of itself, you know, because otherwise you could make an argument down to the point that like no musician has ever created an original piece of music because essentially they've all relied upon something like the musical instrument that they're using to play. It wasn't their own invention. They hadn't, they're just regurgitating whatever musical tones were produced by the music builder. The difference is in the insight.
I
Um,
never said nothing was original,
Right.
or
No,
did I?
I was taking that thought to its
Okay.
fullest extreme that, so
Technically,
that and at the fullest extreme is objectionable, then if we pull it back, at what point does it become unobjectionable? And I don't think that there is a point that it can't. And so I think that that argument needs to be dismissed because otherwise it's just an arbitrary distinction. Where is it original? At what point in the line of building off of other humans' creation?
well, technically, AI makes original work. Well, it's just crappy and from everything else. And they just produce at a faster volume. So and but it is technically original. It's based on every uh
I mean,
every bit of media we have and
original
everything.
but sophomoric. There's nothing paradigm shifting that's been output and generated by these things.
Right. And
It's kind of like we want to get stuck with uh, college kids' projects in
right.
terms of creativity, or do we want, you know,
So, I mean,
It's lowering the bar to entry for the creative field. And I guess the same for, well, I don't know.
so as for humans, what would be the difference between, I'm not saying it's stolen or anything. I'm saying it's more of a evolution as opposed to a regurgitation by AI. You know, not no. Okay, if
What could I
if
just,
if you were to put a human, raise a human in a box and then show him a guitar, what would he know how to do with it?
know how to do with it?
What would he know to do with this guitar?
I mean, humanity has historically shown itself to be instinctively curious and creative. So I would propose that that individual would experiment with it. What is it? What does it do? How does it work? What can I do with it?
Okay, but he's never heard music before, never heard
No,
anything.
not necessarily. No
That's what I'm
virtuosity.
saying. In my
Right,
experiment,
right.
this
Yeah.
this is uh,
He's not gonna sit down and play Stairway to Heaven.
he doesn't have to. It's just can he lots of people play guitar, and it's I think everything is learned from the previous generation of musicians, or every technology and everything
Well,
is taken from, yeah, previous generations. It's
the problem, though, I think, is that these models are all exclusively taken from these previous generations, and they're exclusively approximating and rehashing and, you know, hey, ChatGPT, do such and such in the style of so and so's work and stuff. There's never been, and another issue, well, twofold issue. There's never been a truly paradigm shifting creative work come from an LLM. And two, there's never been any output from these things unprompted. Those two, I think, are key indicators of creativity that are unique to humanity. Um, and those two are both kind of interconnected in terms of the ability to proceed and learn and develop a skill. And that's not how LLM um, models function.
yeah,
Um,
but
can you tell me what LLM means? You said it a few times. I just want to
Yeah,
fill in the
large
blanks for
language
myself.
model.
Oh,
It's
gotcha.
basically it's the way I avoid using the term artificial intelligence for these tools
Hmm.
because that's the technical term for them. It's basically, large um large bunch of uh, trained data to um, model human language and speech and uh, predict and represent language um, based off of a massive accumulation of data that, all provided to it, the entire unabridged works of Dostoevsky and, um, you know, every public Facebook post that you and I have ever made. And, you know, all of that put together, given, made available to this set of um, uh, math equations to drastically oversimplify it. And these math equations basically statistically try to predict what words, not even what words, what characters in what particular order are most likely to fulfill what the um, model was prompted to do. There's no understanding in it at all, not even at the word level. The words are basically just uh, sets of numbers to represent characters, characters assembled to form words, but not with any sort of understanding of those words and what they mean. Um, so there's not even a route to symbolic understanding of that language. Um, they're just um, really fancy, uh, um, uh, yeah, really fancy, large word letters.
Um,
Sorry, there we go.
I want
Closer.
to play them and see what you guys think of it.
Well, I think it might be important to let Kevin get um, any commentary or anything in on what I just said there, because he might have objections to the way I framed
Go ahead.
the LLM, and I don't
Uh,
know if I don't want to just proceed, you know.
uh, I suppose the only problem I have is the limitation of AI and what it's being used for. Just these kind of silly LLMs and data collecting, and it could be used for so much more. It could be used for science that they say it's being used for scientific research, and um, I hope I hope it is. And, um, I didn't look into that. I should have looked into that a little more. Um,
I would venture to guess that they're probably talking about like AI machine learning algorithms rather than LLMs as the particular
well,
tool.
yeah,
They're
that's what
both
I
kind
meant.
of subsets
Um,
of the field, and it's not, you know, maybe that's
Obviously,
the
some
distinction that I really am trying to insist on at the
you know,
core.
you're not a fan of the chat box or chat whatever.
Yeah,
Um,
but
yeah, I'm not crazy about it, but I admit that I've used them. But yeah, I
Simplifies things.
have concerns. Okay.
um should we discuss the idea of neural networks, perhaps just throw the concept out so that people kind of understand why they work the way that they do, and because that might help.
Go ahead.
And that might also be kind of interesting because they actually have some similarities to the human brain, and that's by design, actually. So, well, not necessarily the human brain, but to the brain. I guess human brain was the initial, but the idea of neural networks, to simplify this, was to take um, take this computer programming that could um, um, perform calculations by feeding it data and then having it um, learn, was the idea. And the way that they went about trying to do that was by simulating what the human brain does with its neurons. And so the neural network idea came from, you have neurons or nodes at, in layers, and however many layers. But, for the sake of simplicity, let's just say 3 or 4 layers. 4, 5 layers might be better. So you have the input layer, however many nodes that take whatever numbers go in, and then they feed it to, the network, um, just with these connections that, they're just conceptual connections. Basically, each of these connections between the neurons is some math that tells it whether this connection, or what signal is being sent from this top neuron to this next top neuron. And then there's a connection to the next one under it, and the next one under that, and the next one under that. So each of these neurons have connections to each subsequent layers neurons, and that happens at each layer. So once you get past the one layer in with all of those initial connections, the inner workings of what's going on there is not visible to the programmer. It's just these connections telling each other what, what signal, what weight. That's what they're called, weighted functions. So how much of a weight do they apply to the signal from each neuron to each subsequent neuron in a way that looks to them to be modeling the way that a brain works. And they did this, and the training, for the training, they take it and feed the data backwards. They feed it, you know, um, feed it the data that they want to come out, and they start with random data, and they feed it through the network, and they compare it to the output that they want, and they analyze how does this look compared to the data that they put in. Is it close? No. And so then they try it again, another set of random data, and the output that they want. And each time that they go through, they try to get it closer and closer. So that's the training process. So they never actually train any of it inside there. They never train it what words are. They never give it a dictionary. They never train it to do any grammar, anything. They've just run these characters, this math between, input characters, which they basically represent English words, English letters with numbers, and output. And that's why these things take so much math, so much computation. They're basically running how likely this output is to be what you wanted from this input. And so to that end, that's why the generative is so incredible. To generate a lot of output from a relatively small input, but that's coming from, a statistical likelihood from its training, not from its experience in interacting and understanding. So that training can be done with English language and you know characters like that, or it can be done with mathematics. And when they do it with math, they do the same exact thing in terms of the training. They just have different inputs, different outputs to train it. So that's how these AI neural networks are already making big breakthroughs in research and stuff. They are. But what they're doing for the breakthroughs in research is not coming from ChatGPT. It's coming from the researchers building a neural network to solve the math problem that they have at hand, basically doing it themselves, not going and using any of these large language models. They're not large language models at all that they're building, but they are still neural networks, built on the same sort of paradigm. That's why you know, they shouldn't be conflated. That's why I don't like. But I guess there's a big financial benefit to being a researcher and hitching your wagon to the AI hype train, I guess, isn't there? Um, I don't know. I don't know if I've gone off track from what you wanted to talk about. You had something that you wanted to bring up. That was my whole aside. That was way too much rambling. I'm sorry. But
Oh,
um,
no problem with me. Yeah, I was what's it called? I was looking at something and I happened to save it. I specifically wanted to know what are you guys' opinions on what this guy is talking about. Um,
um, Boogie, you there?
Yeah, let's give him a second.
I'm here. Just let me get the video. 1 second.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, fancy.
Okay. All right. There it goes, you guys. I'm sorry about the sound.
Super intelligence. Most of your rivals talk about AGI, artificial general intelligence. Explain the difference between AGI and super intelligence.
I prefer the definition that focuses first on what would it take to build a system that could achieve most of the tasks that a regular professional in a workplace goes about on a daily basis. Think of it as a professional grade AGI.
How close are we?
I think that we're going to have a human level performance on most, if not all, professional tasks. So white collar work where you're sitting down at a computer, either being, a lawyer or an accountant or a project manager or a marketing person. Most of those tasks will be fully automated by an AI within the next 12 to 18 months. And we can see this in software engineering. Many software engineers report that they are now using AI-assisted coding for the vast majority of their code production, which means that their roles shifted now to this meta function of debugging, scrutinizing, of doing the strategic stuff like architecting, of, et cetera, putting things into production. So it's a quite different relationship to the technology. And that's happened in the last 6 months.
You talk.
What was, oh, sorry. I missed it.
Say that again.
I was hoping to ask you to let that first bit play again. My first thought to watching that, her question was about AGI and superintelligence and how he would compare them, and he immediately framed them in ways that Microsoft is already like the industry leader. And then he talked about how successful and close we are. When you define AGI as your basic business model as it currently functions, then yeah, you're going to sound like you're really close to this big goal. But he never said anything about the difference between AGI and superintelligence. He just made a marketing pitch for Microsoft, which is not surprising coming from the CEO of Microsoft. He didn't say anything substantial, really.
I thought that was pretty substantial, that white collar jobs are going to be replaced within
No,
a
he
certain
said
amount.
shift, not replace. That they would shift to a meta function. So it doesn't
Shift them.
necessarily imply that they're replaced fully or that they're extinct or that they're gone. The white collar jobs being fully automated by AI in 12 to 18 months doesn't mean, just because the writing of some technical document is fully automated by an AI doesn't mean that the job role is fully automated by an AI. It just means that the tedium of the day-to-day work is no longer time consuming. It's, the person is actually has a chance to do quality control, quality improvement rather than crunch for time.
No, yeah, it was his words. He said, we don't need these workers. So something
What
like
jobs do
that.
you think are going first?
It was coders. They can get rid of them with that AGI technology. Yeah.
I think it would be shooting themselves in the foot for a tech company to get rid of their coders first. I don't think that's likely. I think they're the most likely to have job security to be the ones working in the AI fields, according
Oh no,
to AI people, at
I'm not
least.
saying get rid of all of them. just
Yeah.
saying they can time is a resource in all this, and we're competing with other countries, and especially China, and so we need to develop these technologies fast. And if we can develop uh, uh, something instead of 5 years, get it done in 1 year because we're using super AI, or not super AI, just AGI. Well, they're going to use that, you know.
But he didn't give any definition of what AGI is versus what superintelligence is, or what they do, what the distinction is, like the question was asked. He didn't give any distinction of what, he just made a sales pitch for Microsoft. It really, get our product to replace your workers at whatever fraction of a cost, technically, was the pitch, but it was a sales pitch for Microsoft.
I came across this last night. Superintelligence. Uh,
Because the AGI in every other context, everybody else, when they're asked what is AGI versus superintelligence, AGI, they talk about being an AI entity model that has the capability to learn and perform as well as a human in any context as a human could, to the degree that would be expected of at least a minimally moderately proficient. It's general intelligence, not these purpose-built, very specific little neural network tools, and superintelligence being one that exceeds human intelligence in a particular field, perhaps, but one that exceeds human ability or performance. And when you have the two, artificial general superintelligence, that's what people think about with the Terminator. But he didn't answer her question like that. He just said, we're going to be able to do this and we're going to be able to do that. And that it's like, don't listen to CEOs if you want the reality of what technical products are going to be able to do. Like, he didn't,
Um,
slimy.
I got something here. There's a comment here. It's Jim Litter Rick. He says, I wish they could start more studies regardless of cost.
Can,
Only real cost is time. And everybody watching, go ahead, press that thumbs up. We are waiting and hoping you guys all press thumbs up. But what do you think about that, Mark? It says, I wish they could start more studies regardless of the cost. Only real cost is time. And that's from Jim Litter Rick.
yeah, well, time is the one thing that nobody can press any sort of advantage over any other competitors. So that's the one thing that nobody really wants to allow to be limiting for them, right? You can't throw money at getting a time advantage. Um, yeah, I don't think that anybody's everybody's asking how can we, what can we? Nobody's asking should we, if we should, when we should. Um, yeah, I agree. I think that it take a step back and look at things realistically, what can, and the human impact of any of it too. What, not just that, don't just let engineers go play because they'll just build ridiculous stuff.
Well,
Um,
realistic thing is time. If time is a resource you can't control, what resources can you control? You can control how many workers you have,
Yeah.
and if there's,
Regulations, policy regulations. You can
yes,
control
that's
market
true.
supply of CPUs. CPU power is big thing.
And
If
if
you
you
can't,
eliminate,
if you can't change the amount of time that everything is operating on, you can change the what your cycles per second, right? Get that advantage. Um, Ramping up your the only risk is melting this GPU, right? You just replace it with another one. Um,
I think that the AI, it might make less mistakes, but I think a human would be able to correct their mistake faster after making the mistake. The AI might finish the task and finish making the mistake before it corrects it. You know what I mean? No, you don't know what I mean? Does that sound stupid?
no,
yeah,
it makes sense. I mean, a human might even have the foresight to recognize. There's always there. In film and television, it's romanticized as the gut feeling. I can't. There's something here. Intuition or something. There's something very real to be said for that, and that's something that you can't code for. At least to my knowledge, you can't demonstrate that a neural network can be trained for intuition, can we? How would you get that data set? Oh my gosh, that would be interesting.
Well, another thing is how they're teaching the Tesla bot how they said it can learn to cook based off of reading the recipe. It'll be different from people who have that recipe and they're like, we're going to add this much salt, we're going to add this much pepper. Seasonings are going to be a little off, but it said it could finish a meal by how hot the steak is, inner temperatures and stuff like that. It'll do
Oh,
that right, but I don't think we're going to be able to get the salt that we might like or the sodium or this whatever seasoning might need. It's going to add the on point amount. It's not going to be like, oh, well, some people, sound like my grandma, she cooks based off her hand. She's just like salt here, this there, that there.
well, there's also the tactile sense at the tip of the fingers is so much more precise than any visual cue. Just by sprinkling salt with your fingers, you can actually get more precise control over it, without even being able to visually see it and know and correct. It's something that can only happen at the fingers and only after developing an intuition. You've basically trained your own internal neural network. That's something that these things can't be do or aren't capable of, like continually training their own internal neural network in real time for their entire existence. The amount of visual data alone calculated by the human eye in an individual second exceeds what these LLMs or any of these humanoid robots are capable of. So something like searing a steak, getting a rare steak cooked perfectly, ooh, that's like the most simplistic, easiest thing to perform mechanically with the sensors that are available to it. It's looking and visually. I mean, it doesn't visually gives it too much credit. Also, it implies that there is a sense and some sort of perception there. There really isn't. It's just optically evaluating the color and looking at the black body radiation, checking the temperature, you know, flipping it over at the correct point in time given the surface temperature, these things are easily calculated. Try getting it to perfectly make, like, I don't know, a souffle. That would be more impressive. Um,
From
there's a
what I
lot of
was,
cooking. Like, how do you that's, I mean, there's no creativity there either. As like without a sense of taste, how does one in like develop a new novel um recipe that's anything more than just mashing together disparate seasonings and, you know, eventually one of them lands, right? Shotgun style. Blast out a whole bunch of different possibilities and one of them will hit, right? And then you can say, oh, hey, look at this wonderful recipe that our robot made for us. You don't necessarily think about all the others that went right in the trash, but hey, here's the new one. You tout that as the big triumph success of this new era, and there's no experience behind it to be able to have any understanding. But I
So
think
you
that that's
see
an
nothing
inherent
as a
limitation. Huh?
you see nothing of this as a new era in technology, or
Oh, it
you're not
definitely
impressed,
is.
or
It definitely
and
is. It's just not coming from like Chat GPT, the tools, LLM, it's interesting, but it's not worth marrying, and
but
it's
that
not gonna
is
be.
a problem though. If young people aren't going out and meeting each other and getting married and they're talking to their phones, you know, 30 years ago,
Population replacement rate. Yeah.
if a person was talking to their hand, we would put them in an asylum. Today, it's perfectly acceptable. You talk to yourself all day, and the insane person is the one without a phone.
Yeah.
So I'm sounding old and grumpy, but so that's the effect AI is having. I know everything else besides LLMs have a strong relevance, but the negative effects of those, and
Well, that's something that I think is kind of a, a an interesting segue over into um, sentience and consciousness. Like something that's what I would consider a prerequisite for before any sort of marriage. You know, I wouldn't
um,
consider just on like philosophical grounds. I wouldn't consider a marriage with a machine programming to be something that, is, but so
um,
before it could even be considered, though, there would have to be some sentience there. Otherwise, it's not a marriage between two legal, equally participating entities. It's what it's something, right? It's not, it can't be, can it? Like by
yeah,
the
but
why not?
definitions of a marriage, a legal, like you need to be able to be, um, I mean, in the United States, over in Japan, they have their own laws, and I know this isn't a marriage that happened here, but before it could happen in the United States, they need to be a legal person, right?
Mm,
How does one get legal personhood from
I'm not sure if it's a law that
children?
they have to, but
Right. No, I don't. I'm just, that's just a posing the philosophical question. How, and is it possible? What would it take to get to the point where
okay.
an artificial intelligence is actually sentient and intelligent in a way that it could be considered a legal person?
I did look this up.
um, I have an article right here that it kind of fits into the little relationship thing we're talking about. Yeah, because they got the robots that are looking more and more like humans. Like a lot of them, like China's ahead of us in that part. And they, uh, humanoid bots. Have you
They're
seen those?
creating like those creepy, weird faces, like the
Yeah,
uncanny
they're
valley
able
type of like the
to have
dolls.
facial expressions,
Can
and their eyes can roll. They can roll their eyes at you. They can look away when you're talking. They can look down and stuff like that. Like have emotion to what you're saying. Like disappointed at what you're saying, so they can look down. And that's a lot. That can be dangerous for us. That um, yeah, that can be really dangerous for us. Imagine people like teaching the robots to do bad things because they're also, like they said, they're gonna know what we teach them. What if we teach them destroy this thing or destroy that thing? Depending on what that thing is, it could be a
and
big deal.
and
Already
TikTok.
happening.
Huh?
And drones. Drones are
Yeah.
highly intelligent. I mean, war drones. They have
Uh,
many of the sensor, the LiDAR, I think it is.
yeah, LiDAR and IR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but
I'm
Um,
yeah,
trying to remember the acronym for LiDAR. Light, right? It's light
um,
intensity, direction, and maybe, I don't know.
um, when it
Different.
comes to the cooking thing again with the robot,
Mm.
correcting seasoning might be a problem because they if the accident is that you make it too salty or you make it too much pepper or too much that, the robot can't exactly test if they accidentally slipped a little more salt or not enough salt in there. They don't have like the tasting things. Not that I've looked up like can they taste the food, and it was a no. They're not tasting the food to make sure we don't get too much salt or we don't get too much pepper. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I'm
no,
saying. There is things that
no
they might not be able to
qualitative.
replace humans with, but like they're saying, it's possible. But yeah, with food, I don't trust a robot. It could poison me if it got angry at me or something. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but
I'm
then
afraid how they can hurt me.
they're gonna be replacing all fast food workers in California soon enough with that minimum wage hike. There's that motivation for the price drop and automation increase. So I think you're likely to see food prepped by robots more and more at the lower and lower
Mm.
price point range.
Not gonna taste good. Might not taste as good. You never know.
I mean, as long as they're just repeating the same recipes over and over and over again with the same quality input ingredients, then yeah, I wouldn't trust
so
them to create any new novel recipes to like, I
yeah,
mean, at least not trust them to do one and be, I'd try it, just to see, but
Yeah, I
not,
think I'd try it just to see.
oh yeah.
I can trust it enough to know it wouldn't make something toxic right off the bat. It would be difficult with whatever ingredients we provide it. We could just make that.
I mean, if I can trust George Foreman grill. That's pretty much that's the closest thing to a robot that's ever made my food, you know.
Mm. I got something here. It was an article wrote some years back. It was in 2020, actually. It says sex robots may cause psychological damage. This was in China. U.S. researchers, it was in China, have warned that the availability of sex robots with artificial intelligence (AI) poses a growing psychological and moral threat to individuals and society. They say the technology is escaping oversight because agencies are too embarrassed to investigate it. The scientists want action to prevent the unregulated use of such robots. Dr. Christine Hendren of Duke University told BBC News that, in quote, the stakes were too high. In quote, some robots are programmed to protest to create a rape scenario, she said. Some are
Whoa.
designed to look like children. One developer of
Oh,
these in
oh,
Japan is self-confessed pedophile who says that
yeah.
this device is prophylactic against him ever hurting a real life child. But does that normalize and give people a chance to practice these behaviors that should be treated just like stamping them out? Dr. Hendren was speaking here at the annual meeting of American Association for the Advancement of Science. Yeah, they're making these robots, and yeah, I could see how it could mess up society a lot if people are just like, all right, well, I don't need a human anymore, so
Mm.
yeah, relationships are gonna start to suck. They're gonna have so much stuff. They want you to be like this. They want you to be like that. Well, I can find a robot who could be just like that. I can choose how my relationship will go.
Mm.
That's not the way humans were meant to be, to live. We
Yeah, that was
thrive
in
on
that was in
challenge, on
Japan, and
pushback. There's meant to be, yeah, it's
scary.
Yeah, but
yeah,
it's kind of an international thing though. I mean, there's women put up billboards saying they want to look for a boyfriend, please marry me. And it's like, hello, just look down the street, look anywhere, and just talk to
well,
someone, not knock on a damn door. I don't know what I don't know where you're looking, but I don't know. Okay.
there's,
What
yeah,
happened? You said you don't know where I'm looking?
I don't know where they're looking, but
Oh,
online's the wrong place because the Tinder algorithms or whatever, um, they're pretty vicious, and because coming back to AI, and this is sort of AI, I guess. Um, like most women don't accept men under 6 foot, no one who makes a certain amount of money, or it has, yeah.
I didn't know
You
that
check it
height
out.
was a requirement. I didn't. I never read that one.
yeah. Well, height, 7-figure salary to start. Um, yeah. Uh, owns their own house, ideally already, right? Um, I don't know. I don't know what else. Just check off every like delusional dream thing that you see from all of these rom-com movies or whatever. Just like every single expectation taken out of a Hollywood movie or script rather than drawn from reality. Um, it's just you know, but that's just the algorithm also
Right.
to
That's
what,
the selection menu they give them.
yeah. The vast
Um,
majority of women are actually reasonable, but they don't get
Right.
pushed up to the top because the algorithm doesn't see those. Um, it's the 9.8 out of 10s and above that all just feed off of each other,
Mhm.
or at least lie to get into that 9.8 out of 10, and then, you're going to be found out pretty quickly anyway. But it's just a meat grinder anyway, so it doesn't matter as long
Yeah.
as you get that foot in the door one time, and then you just move on to the next one. It's
Mhm.
it's horrible. It's horrible.
Yeah.
Just no consistency with any sort of like
Right.
development or um
Oof. Yeah.
um, for like robots, what do you guys think about like robots in war and stuff like that?
I mean,
The replacement of humans in war would be a benefit, right?
that's the same argument that was made by George Gatling when he invented the Gatling gun in 1880. I don't know, I'll say six, maybe. I'm probably
Close
wrong,
enough.
but if I happen to be right, then I will look really well informed. Um, it was in during Civil War era or something that he worked on it, finished it, perfected it, and his idea was basically, if you can go from the single fire and then reload and single fire black powder rifles to the rapid fire of this mechanical firearm, then it would make war so terrible that it would end it all. Like nobody would fight in wars again because you just mow each other down, so nobody would. It was a weapon of war and meant to end wars because just like I don't know how many times have we seen that though since then, right? Um, how many
So,
wars or inventions of war were meant to end all war? It just the
uh, like,
the ethics of autonomous machines going and killing human combatants is something, you know, a machine deciding when to pull the trigger and when a person lives or dies.
Um,
But is that any better,
seeing,
really, than having a human being on the trigger?
um,
it's
The
I
sentience
seen a robot
argument,
do that.
the
Mark, I
you,
seen a robot do that. They had a robot shooting at a target, and then they'd have a guy just run out of nowhere from the right, and they would stop shooting, and then he would run back and forth, and it would stop every time it got close to where they're aiming at. But the target stayed straight, but the guy ran back and forth, and it didn't shoot him. So I mean, that part was good. It didn't shoot him as he was running around back and forth. Uh,
right. But the
but
ethics, though, of flipping that around and having it only fire when the man is directly in front of it, and doing that without any other human input, and then sticking
well, I
that like
mean,
on the back of one of those like Cambridge robotic dog things, and like creepy little four-legged dog run out
I've seen
into
those.
the wilderness
To,
with the machine gun on its back and just kind of point itself up and around and have it mow down insurgents somewhere. Like that's a completely different version of war than anything we've had up to this point. And we keep
yeah.
saying that, right? Every time we get into a fight, it's something completely different than we've ever seen
like,
before.
uh,
So
are we
can you
talking
believe?
like?
that.
Like from Doctor Strangelove, the Doomsday device. Is that sort of AI? Like,
I
It's been
seen
so
a
long
robot.
since I've seen the movie. I'm not
I
sure.
seen
I
a
can't
robot that
remember.
had like little legs. It was like a dog, but it was a movie. But I assumed one day it's going to be real. The fire department had the little robots that were dogs, and they would go in there under stuff that had fell down and figure out where people were. That could be good. Um, Send the dog in the fire and not people run in. Well, I mean, I was never a firefighter, so I wouldn't know how safe or not safe it is. But yeah, I think that would be good. You
It
don't have to
is
send in.
never safe inside of a burning building. I can tell you that. I am not a firefighter, but I can tell
Then
you
in
that for
that respect,
sure.
yeah, I'm pretty sure it's pretty much person shouldn't run a fire at any cost, but they
Yeah.
do it. Yeah, they do it too often.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank, thanks to every firefighter out there, man. There's so many lives saved. Yeah.
Yes. Um,
Oh.
I got another article here though. Um, just a lot of things I'd like to hear opinions on.
We didn't really discuss anything about the war though, did we? We just kind of said that and moved on.
That's
okay.
Is
Um,
there any ethics on the autonomous part of the drones? And does that make it any better than just a really fancy remote controlled drone doing the
um,
killing?
well, right now
that's what
the drones that
that's
they're
what this
using
article is
all
about.
oh,
I
Oh,
have the article that's about the robots during war, but it's an article that says it's called to ban killer robots in wars. Um, I was going to read the article when I was done with this, but you ready for it?
I mean, I'd like to talk about that subject. I think that sounds interesting.
Okay, let me read it. Let me read this article. And it says a group of scientists has called for a ban on the development of weapons controlled by artificial intelligence. It says that the autonomous weapons may malfunction in unpredictable ways and kill innocent people. Ethics experts also argue that it is a moral step too far for AI systems to kill without any human intervention. The comments were made at the American Association for Advancements of Science meeting in Washington, D.C. Human Rights Watch is one of the 89 non governmental organizations from the 50 countries that have formed the campaign to stop killer robots to press for an international treaty. Among those leading efforts for the worldwide ban is HRW's Mary Wareham says, we are not talking about walking, talking Terminator robots that are about to take over the world. What we are concerned about is much more imminent conventional weapons systems with autonomy, she told BBC News. Oh, man. Yeah, there's more, but would you like me to keep going? No,
I mean, I think you
I'll
should
keep going.
finish it. Yeah, I already
It
have thoughts,
says
but I think you should finish it.
they are beginning to creep in. Drones are obvious example, but they are also military aircraft that take off, fly, and land on their own, robotic sentries that can defend movement. These are precursors to autonomous weapons. Ryan Garapi, Chief Technology Officer at Clear Path Robotics, backs the ban proposal. His company takes military contracts, but it has denounced AI systems for warfare and stated that it would not develop them. When they says when they fail in unpredictable ways. He told the BBC News. As advanced as we are, the state of AI is really limited by image recognition. It is good, but does not have the detail of context to be judge, jury, and executioner on the battlefield. An autonomous system cannot make a decision to kill or not to kill a vacuum. The de facto decision has to be made thousands of miles away by developers, programmers, and scientists who have no conception of the situation the weapon is deployed in. According to Peter Asaro of the New School in New York, such a scenario raises issues of legal liability if the system makes an unlawful killing. Delegation of authority to kill a machine is not justified in a violation of human rights because the machines are not moral agents, so cannot be responsible for making decisions of life and death. So it may well be that people who made the autonomous weapons are responsible. Thoughts and opinions. That was a lot to read, but that was okay. I want to hear Mark's opinion and Kevin. My opinion won't come until I remember what I read. I'll remember what I read once you guys remind me what I read. Mark had something though.
Well, I mean, just a quick little snark, I guess, but it occurred to me that those countries that most likely to be signatories to this or to this call to ban robotic weaponry are probably nations that do not have a strong military production base capability for robotic weaponry, and so don't really have anything to gain or lose either way, or nothing to lose by banning it. I don't know. Um,
That would suck. Like the person said, if it just kills a vacuum, it just shoots a vacuum or anything that
I
it
think
thinks
that
might be a problem when it could
I
possibly
think
not
that
be a
it's a
problem.
I think that it's a dangerous misconception by that um, person that was being quoted to be saying that these weapon operators are, operating thousands of miles away in a vacuum without any conceptualization of the situation or the surroundings and whatnot. That's not the way that I mean, there's a lot of intelligence that goes into anything before a drone is even deployed into an area. Um, they're not just sending a little kind of airplane, a weirdly shaped airplane thing with no person on board into some other country's airspace and having it drop bombs on the inhabitants all willy-nilly. Um, there's a lot that goes into the support of a drone that is being operated. Um, and yeah, so to characterize it as operating in a vacuum is something that really is a discredit to the United States military, I think. Um, the the question of the ethics of the robotic autonomous um, weaponry. I mean, if I don't know if we grant any or every premise, it's why is that a standard that is any different or better than it's an extension of military technology. Um, the technology always advances. It's not um, it's not like a piece of legislation is going to hold back the development and use of anything if it actually um I don't know if it provides any sort of advantage necessarily. I don't see why um
You looking something up?
no.
Oh.
Thinking thinking tool loading. I just flip my phone. Yeah, no,
Oh.
sorry.
I got a fidget spinner that Kate
I'll
gave me.
just stare straight into the camera while I'm doing it. Would that make you feel better? I don't know. Can I
No.
pass to Kevin for the moment?
Yeah, okay. Um,
Processing.
First off, did you say these this ban would go to countries without a strong capability?
No, it was just kind of a snarky comment that I think the
Okay.
most of the countries who would be potential prospective signatories to a ban on robotic weapons are countries that do not have strong robotic weapon programs to begin with.
Well, I'm concerned about, yeah, well, they're not going to get banned anyway. Anyway, you said they're not controlled by you. Or you said well, they are not controlled by humans. They do make decisions. These robots, they have they're given a profile of targets to hit, and uh, they fire at them, uh, and that can make mistakes, and that's why
So can a person with their finger on a trigger, how is this any different from that person with a finger on a trigger? It just the trigger is one step behind a set of code. It's still a trigger.
they say it's a, a better, it's got better aim, and I suppose people make mistakes. This one is supposed to be sharper or something.
Yeah. If it's got
And
better aim, but it makes a mistake and aims at an incorrect target, that better aim would potentially save lives, technically. To do
Or
a,
technically,
yeah,
it
in
could
a
go
weird,
bad
cynical
if
roundabout.
it was.
Fewer surrounding casualties by more accurate weapon placement in the terms of collateral damage, less potential for collateral damage with higher accuracy.
well,
It
it's the
could be
problem.
bad if it chooses to shoot like a dog. If it just is like, oh, this dog is dangerous. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Well,
that's what the problem is. It's given profile, a set of targets, and a human would not fire at something, but
they're
if
not
it's looking for like a type of building or a person's face, it could screw that up huge and take down the wrong building. Um, the Russians don't care. They'll just blow everything up, and they're not, whatever. But this sort of technology lacks capability, so or lacks accountability, and so, like you said, if there's a person, if there's a sniper who shot the wrong person, he would be held accountable. or a, a person with one of these drones was actually, had a trigger, he should be held accountable, right? Or if he was just following orders, ooh, that's a creepy saying. Just following orders. I blew up that
Hey,
building because,
I was just going to.
yep,
What
it's
about those planes that? What about those planes? Like they call in for an airstrike, and the robot comes in just with coordinates, and it's just like, okay, said drop it here.
mm, this
But
is
they've been doing that for years.
I think this is a very disturbing escalation
Yes.
in uh, technology, war technology.
Yeah.
No, it's a pretty linear based on what's been happening up to this point. It's not that different from what's been going on. And I think that it's, it's again, I think that it's a mischaracterization to say that these are, or not to say, but to portray these as um, being released with just a set of criteria that they then go off and take on by themselves. They are not deployed unless there is intelligence pointing towards something being in that area. That intelligence is gathered by some means that is verifiable. There's numbers in terms of confidence levels, and that's where a lot of people get uncomfortable when things are reduced or when it's sort of seen as dehumanizing to characterize, likelihoods and percentages and probabilities and whatnot. But it's the same with any other sort of operation, whether robotic or human. But um, it's expensive to fly one of these drones up there. The fuel to put them in the air, the bombs themselves are thousands and thousands of dollars. They don't drop them on random people if unless they are really confident that they are not random people, and that confidence doesn't come from having a set of pre-programmed rules that are baked into it from the factory way back at the the design point, like that CEO guy was sort of saying, they're designed and this is why we won't design these. I think it's maybe more likely that that guy's company would not be competitive in that market. So he's making this big moralizing call to seem like he's ahead of the curve instead of, admitting that they're not competitive, which is a good play, I guess. But um, there, I don't think that adding robotic tools to the United States Army intelligence operations would do anything except keep Americans safer, which is the tool or the goal of American military tools.
Well, money's never been a problem for us. If they want to buy 1,000 of these and put them somewhere, that's their, Congress won't mind.
Yeah,
They've
but they
always,
don't just drop them like firecrackers either.
you
Sorry,
sure?
I shouldn't interject. You,
No,
you,
no, no, no. Okay, so what are autonomous weapons? Slaughter bots, also known. This is according to a website, autonomousweapons.org. They're called killer robots. They're weapon systems that use artificial intelligence to identify, select, and kill human targets without human intervention. That's the key target. That's the key thing there. They kill human targets without human intervention. Whereas in the case of unmanned military drones, the decision to take a life is made remotely by a human operator. With autonomous weapons, the decision is made by algorithms alone.
Well, that's not particularly true because when was the autonomous robot put into the air to start its mission? It's always going to have been deployed at some point. There will always have been an initiation point from someone deciding to put it out, put it in the air, release it, set it out. And in that sense, these things are not just stockpiled in a hangar and then deciding to take off on their own to go kill a random militant somewhere on the other side of the globe. Somebody pressed a button somewhere. Whether they were close to that target when they pressed it or whether they were far away, does that really matter if the signal intelligence between them is accurate? And if that target was who they went to kill, why does it matter how far away the person was? I mean, I don't see it as really being too different from any other sort of step forward. And I mean, really, compared to having an American pilot in the air over this war zone and having that pilot press the button on their thing, how is that any better?
You know, I think people always complain about war. They don't like it. War is instinctively bad. So, you know what? If you're going to go out there and kill people, do it yourself. So this is going to make war easier. It's going to make it easier to kill people. It's going to make, you know, that's what's happening in Ukraine right now. They're just droning them to death. And
Well,
that is the truth.
Ukraine's got a fighting chance because they're able to send out drones against the bigger, larger aggressor against them. Right? Isn't
They
there a lot
can
of talk about
punish.
Ukraine getting strikes in on Russia?
I
Um,
suppose. I don't know how long they can last because I I hope my point was that
Sorry. Yeah.
it this is making you shouldn't be able to kill people so easy like the Gatling
Gatling.
gun thing. He thought it would scare people into not fighting, but this is this is just it's becoming too easy to kill people.
yeah, and
Well,
you can't hold the in a robot as accountable as you can hold um, a human. A human, you gotta tell them you do something wrong. This is what's gonna happen. You're gonna go to prison. This, and that. A robot, they don't care about not having a battery in them, or you turn them off. Um, the punishment isn't as I forgot
Right?
the
There
word.
is no punishment for if it
Right.
if this drone flies into a hospital and kills 100 people, no punishment for the drone.
Right. Who gets punished for that? Because it's like it'll be like when cops get fired. A cop gets fired for doing something bad, and all he does is lose his job. Um, yeah, that's what it's going to be like with a robot. It's just going to be like, all right, well, this is the consequences, and I'll use this robot to do it, and no human gets punished for it or stuff like that. That could be bad. Could be really bad.
Mm.
Thoughts on that? Um,
Uh,
I mean, war is tragic. It inherently is. It always has been. Robotic tools make it easier than mechanical tools did. Mechanical tools made it easier than, um, you know, primitive Stone Age tools or, medieval bows and arrows were far more advanced than the bow and arrow used by the Roman soldiers. There were, um, the sword, the Roman gladius was an advancement over um, Bronze Age weaponry, which,
yeah.
was, yeah, I mean, we can go all the way back to stones, and all of it makes it too easy to take another human life. But none of it really is, I don't know. It's not,
The point is to stop at one point. At a certain that's how we progress as humans. You know, we're supposed to stop
we're not
at a.
going to. That's
I
not,
know, but we stopped oppressing women. We stopped with slavery, and we stopped. And the thing we're still trying today, but if we keep making fancier and fancier weapons, it's just we're not
yeah.
going to make it. We're not going to make it
I don't
500
know.
years.
The only countries that have any real um, motivation to ban robotic weaponries are countries that aren't competitive in areas of robotic weapon technology. Um, I don't think that China would sign anything like that. I don't think Russia would sign anything like that. And
Of
because
course
of
not.
those two, I don't think that the United States should sign anything like that. It's tragic, but it's inevitable because of these figureheads. It's like a three-way triangle of suck. So,
Okay. Perhaps I'm being naive. That no, I'm honestly saying that perhaps that since this weapon is already out of the box, people
I
are going
mean,
to use it.
and it's just what we know about, honestly. What else what other tools are unacknowledged that have been going on and being used for how long? Like, honestly, I don't know. It's all war sucks, but
Right.
think,
All war thoughts.
I don't
Like
think all war will ever end. Um, I don't know.
um, I had
Pragmatically
something right here,
speaking, it's
and
better to
that
be
made
on
me.
the winning side of the technology arms race. So that's just, it sucks to have to be in that position too. But, you know, it's
Maybe
either
we
that
can
or,
get
you know,
AI to get some sort of game theory to end all war. you
Hey,
know.
Grok, how do we get China to stop building robotic weapons?
Or look at this. Listen to this. It says adaptable robots on their way to home. Researchers have developed robots that learn to live with damaged parts in less than a minute. Instead of many hours needed by traditional self learning systems, the system paves the way for robots to be used in a wide variety of settings, coping with damage that occurs in the real world. Possible applications include robots looking after the elderly, rescuing earthquake victims, or doing homework. We marvel at the robots we see in films. Some try to wipe out humanity, such as Ultron in the recent Avengers film, while others, like CP3PO in Star Wars, are helpful, albeit slightly annoying, but they are also still the stuff of science fiction. Partly because of it, the slightest thing goes wrong with a real life robot, it usually stops working altogether. In a step towards making the machines of the movies a reality, French and US researchers have developed a learning algorithm that enables robots to adapt very quickly when they're damaged. Factory and laboratory robots have strictly predefined way of operating, so if a component breaks, it normally has to be replaced for the robot to continue with its task. Could you imagine like fighting a robot, trying to fight it off, and then it's just getting better every arm you break?
Getting it into a fist fight with a robot, or
It's just
what?
like healing itself.
Uh, ooh, and that would take a
That's
lot of
why
energy.
we all need robot weaponry at home so that the government can't infringe. They can't use their robotic weaponry against me if I've got my own robot looking over my own shoulder.
Well, who's controlling that robot?
Me.
But it's got AI, so that's connected to the network, which is connected
Yeah.
to richest people in the world. They can shut it down.
I'll have mine set up on a private Wi-Fi with between my phone and me and have it follow me around that way. Keep
Your
the
phone's
phone
connected
signal closer.
to phone's connected to Steve Jobs, or no, sorry, he's dead. Or
I don't know if I
phone's
would want
connected to
Microsoft.
Apple. Everything's connected. See,
Windows Windows Robot. What a nightmare that would be. I don't know.
Right. Um,
What would it take for you to trust one of these robots? How about that? What if we turn it around?
um,
Are we just Luddites? Is there ever anything that could change our
I think
minds?
they're basically harmless. For now, I don't think.
mm,
I think the damage is more mental. I think they're making us regress mentally and um, emotionally. That's the greatest damage, I think. I don't think they're going to come out and start doing karate anytime soon.
what do you think about paramedics?
Mm.
What?
Paramedics. What if they do use the robots as paramedics? That kind
I
of would
mean,
help.
first
For a person
responders.
who has epilepsy, like us. But if they use those as paramedics, then like having a seizure,
If
I think
they're
it's gonna do.
assisting, I, I would still want actual paramedics there, but the idea of additional robotic paramedics, something that can go in and faster or carry the patient out. Some, large patients that have trouble getting onto the gurney thing to get carried out. Some, I mean, who knows? Who knows what could, but, you know,
Yeah, because like
supplementing
humans,
additional strength, but I wouldn't want it replacing any sort of knowledge or anything.
or
And hopefully they would
or
actually be skilled EMTs too. But
or what if
that's a
they
pet
have,
peeve.
like you said, would you get a robot? When you asked that question, that's what made me think of epilepsy, and that's what made me think of paramedics. Like when I'm having a seizure, is this robot gonna know turn me on my side and don't put a freaking wallet in my mouth, like
Yeah,
wherever whoever read that at? How's that gonna
yeah,
go?
hell
How would
yeah,
that
hell
be?
yeah. I would want a robotic service dog, and I would want my
Right.
robotic service dog to have a machine gun on its back, like the founding fathers intended. And I would,
Mm.
yeah, I would have it
But
stay close to me, right behind me. Well, behind and next to a little bit. Don't want it facing straight at me. Right?
Right.
But
mm,
yeah, little robot dog with those creepy little backwards knees, like,
ooh,
Yeah.
what is
little
the
red
oh,
vest and a cross on it, service dog.
mm,
Needed a little
very
Velcro strap
stylish.
to get it around the machine gun, but that's okay. We can
Oh,
figure it out.
machine.
And then,
Did you
yeah,
say
and then
machine gun?
yeah, I'd want my robotic weapon service dog or my robotic service dog to be armed because that's its Second
Mm.
Amendment right.
Because
Especially if it gets any sort of like sentience, then the founding fathers definitely would have wanted it covered under the Second Amendment.
Another thing that just crossed my mind was, what is it gonna do for, say, someone who's trying to take their own self out? For the robot to think,
Um,
let me stop this. How do you think that's gonna go?
well,
'Cause that
which
could
one
hurt a
is
person in certain instances, and maybe, let's say, if it's trying to stop somebody from like jumping off a bridge, let's say, um, how would that go? How would it help people who are trying to do stuff like that if it's helping? Well, I mean, that's what they call helping. How would it help someone trying to, well, not help them, stop them?
well, as of now, the track record for the or whatever is not very good with mental health. It's actually caused many suicides. Um,
Mm.
but
on the other hand, to play devil's advocate, there's not really any metric for how many suicides may have been prevented by any sort of uh, therapist entity either. So we can point to failures, but can we? I don't know. How would we measure successes, though? I
mm,
definitely agree with you, though. I thought it important to
okay, I get it.
I don't
So
know.
how would
Basically, how do you measure a threat? How do you measure a person of a threat to themselves or a threat to other people? How's the robot going to be like, okay, yeah, this could hurt this person, so let me stop him? Or this person is going to hurt that person, let's stop them? And how much pressure to put as they're trying to stop someone, you know? Someone with a gun is less dangerous than someone with their hands trying to beat on someone.
it would have to gain a lot more um intelligence, like that, like almost to the conscious level. That would have to, it would have to almost, that would be, in my
Uh,
opinion,
there, yeah,
yeah, it would have to be almost human level conscious. Yeah.
yeah, a degree of there would have to be, yeah, well, or at least a degree of sentient accountability. There would need to be enough awareness of the situation and of the significance of the consequence, not just of the results likely to come about. know what it means to take a human life, not just that it's likely that a human life will be taken. And that leap, that's something I don't see any easy way to get there, or even any particularly obvious way to go about sort of hard coding and like faking it and sort of, yeah, I don't know.
I think
It's
it can
basically,
recognize danger. I think it can, uh, as of now, I would say AI could probably process danger.
well,
If the
danger
drones,
to the extent that it's a probability of threat of some
yes,
sort of damage or threat. But danger, I think, also implies a degree of fear or um, an awareness of the fear of the potential threat to self or to others. And that's, that's the limitation again. I don't see that being solved by bigger and bigger data centers with more and more electricity. Um, it's certainly not with the number of nuclear power plants we have currently.
uh,
Um, but that's wasn't wasn't one of the big AI companies just recently proposing to build an entire nuclear power plant for their own data center somewhere?
that sounds familiar, um,
I want to
and
look that up.
likely. Yeah, uh, sounds like something they would do. Yeah.
I mean, their own power plant makes sense, but a nuclear power plant, I think, is a
Oh,
big step because even the power companies have difficult
I
time
mean,
getting through the red tape there.
do you think this will that will be the Achilles heel of AI ultimately is energy?
I think so. I think that it's already reaching a point of such diminished returns that they're scrambling to try to solve its problems by just throwing more and more at it. I don't think that this looks, I don't know, I don't think it doesn't look to me like something that's linearly scaling. And my impression is that most honest industry individuals are, in agreement that we are well past the point of diminished returns, and that that's why there's such a demand for chips because they're, they um, can't keep getting results without throwing all that, We need some complete shift in um, the whole thing, some breakthrough like quantum computing, in order to um, um, actually make that significant next leap. Um, but that was just a quick side note that kind of brings me to a conspiracy theory that we didn't get to touching on
Oh, yeah.
Saturday, the Mandela effect, and whether CERN
Before we move on,
turning on
can I?
CERN created a fracture in the universe, or
Mhm.
whether a quantum computer somewhere was activated and that created a split and a flip, and now there's a mixture of different universes there.
Can I finish this article about the
Oh,
All right.
robot
I thought you'd already finished.
adaptable robots on their way home? There was a little bit more, but I scrolled down and seen some other stuff that I was like, Mark might be interested in that part in particular. It's quite a bit, but it says most self-learning systems that seek alternative ways of continuing with the task are too slow because they try out billions of possibilities using software that filters out the ineffective strategies. The new system vastly speeds up the process. The team demonstrated the principles with a six-legged spider-like robot that found new ways of crawling across the floor after one of its legs was broken. They also unveiled a robotic arm that could adapt to a broken joint and learn a new way to drop the ball in a bin. In both instances, the robots were able to learn the new strategy to complete their task in less than a minute. Traditional self-learning systems would have taken days. According to Dr. Jeff Clune of University of Wyoming, the development represents an important first step towards robots that are able to operate independently outside of carefully controlled confines of a laboratory or factory floor. End quote. Having the kind of intelligent robots you see in movies is much closer than people realize. Our algorithm should be principal work of any kind of robot, no matter how complex it is, he told BBC. If anyone can get a working C3PO, our algorithm could help it to deal with unforeseen situations and damage. Sampling strategies. The new system uses a computer simulation to filter out all the possible solutions that will not work well. It then collects the ones that are both effective and different from each other so that the other robot does not waste time testing out similar strategies. Next, the robot tries out what simulation predicts will be best solution. If it fails, it tries out something entirely different. It carries on doing this until it finds a strategy that completely works. The research points the way to robots that are more robust, adaptable, and cheaper to maintain today's machines, according to senior author Jim Baptiste from Pierre and Marie Curie University in Paris. If you have robots in your home, they would probably be expensive and would not want them to stop working if a small part breaks, he told BBC. Robots are used in factories because they are a controlled environment and nothing unexpected can happen to them. We would like to put these robots outside of factories to help the world where anything can help. Alongside recent advances in artificial intelligence, such as self-learning systems developed by Google's DeepMind technologies, this development could see the emergence of new uses for robots. End quote. The things DeepMind is working on are amazing, says Dr. Clune. We will bring closer a future where robots are helping humans. Almost done. We should be sending robots into Fukushima instead of asking volunteers to take lethal doses of radiation. Robots should be putting out forest fires so we don't have to risk human lives, and they should be used to help us in our homes, he said. That is all. A robot helping around the house could be good, but I don't suggest outside of the factory like this person said could be. Helping out in a factory is very good because, I did factory work in a warehouse. That would be really good if we had robots helping us out, or even, that wouldn't help taking the jobs, but robots doing some of those warehouse jobs would be good.
Maybe.
Mark, you look lost.
No, just thinking.
Mark looks like he's talking.
Okay, good. Sending them into Fukushima you know, I mean, how much sense would it make to have like just a small standing garrison of maintenance robot workers stationed at Chernobyl and Fukushima just indefinitely? If there was some way to figure out a power source for them indefinitely, something, and they're just make it their priority to keep the sarcophagus or the containment in place. I mean, the Chernobyl containment already needs to be replaced. It's already got problems. Um, and that was before Russia decided to just start driving tanks through the exclusion zone. But Fukushima is even fresher. Um, it's difficult for workers to get close there at all. Um, well, I don't know. They both have a high dose rate such that you can only go in there once, and um, you got to wait weeks afterwards. I think it's not safe. Um, that's a good place for robots. And it would be great if they could be like general intelligence or yeah, so that we
Well,
don't
yeah,
need to go and update them with, different system patches as we get better at uh, programming, you know, repair methods and stuff. Um, eh.
yeah, they'd be excellent for those jobs. The horrible uh, jobs that humans uh, probably shouldn't do. That's what I'm talking about. But uh, I mean, humans need to do some. We're still in the the realms of capitalism, and we need there's you know the uh, the aristocracy. There's the merchant level and the peasant level of everything. We need to do. We need to get paid for stuff and have uh, the people thought maybe these robots would lead us into a utopia, but since there's a conflict with capitalism, and no, we would just be sitting around, and in a capitalistic world, we would have no way to make money. Uh, yeah, I see a conflict there. Uh, yeah, that's a problem. That's we we can't keep losing jobs. So I'll ask this question since I might have to leave soon. Um, if they came up with fully sapient androids, everyone here, would you marry one? Or at least go out with
Hmm.
one? Would you go on a date with
I'm
one?
gonna take a hard pass. Um, I don't want have something like that and end up turning on me. I don't want that AI to start having emotions and get angry when I do certain things. Just like I'm thinking, if it ever they were trying to make it think like a human in relationships, uh, I couldn't date a robot. I seen a research that people did. No, they did it based on this generation. This generation would rather date a robot. It said
Yeah, that's creepy.
by a landslide,
What
like
this
90%
generation
of the
being
research.
the Zoomers or the Gen Alpha kids, the little
Yeah, they're still too young for
Um,
that. I think the Zoomers
Zoomers.
and some millennials, yeah. But
Well, of course, some millennials, but more than a majority of the Zoomers, or more than half, you said?
I don't know the numbers, but
I mean,
I think it's a disturbing number.
even
Um,
any significant minority is just anything not easily explained by severe mental health is a problem. Um,
yeah, I
that
mean, I
is
could look
not,
it up, but yeah,
yeah, it's no, I would not.
mm,
I would not.
not even curious, not a date to
No,
see how it would respond.
no, because that wouldn't be a
maybe if
date.
it
That
was,
would just be like a test drive. Like
It's
it's not,
fully
it's,
sapient. It's like
yeah,
it's got that
but
means it's on our level.
yeah, but the ulterior motive on my part would be testing I mean, it'd be like a Turing test or something on my part. There would be no actual intent or interest in fully following through with any sort of romantic relationship, certainly anything ongoing with one of these entities. So I wouldn't necessarily see it as a date in good faith. And therefore, in that regard, I guess maybe you just have to call me um, um, bigoted, if
that
that's the
that
word,
is bigoted. Yeah,
then that's fine.
it's a new life form, and
No, that's fine.
not,
But you see, humans were a species, and that is not the human species. I don't see any validity in the concept that humanity is meant to just interbreed with anything that they were capable of. Um, and certainly not interbreed with anything that any sapient sentience that they have created themselves. It seems to me that there would be, if anything, a power dynamic there between creator and creation that would make me wonder whether there's ever really any sort of consent, any sort of willingness. It may be sapient, but is it did it ever have any choice in the matter, or was it just made to do
I don't know
function?
how it evolved to that point. That's beyond me
It-
because
yeah,
that's a very hard level to evolve to. But
there's a lot of philosophical questions that get raised by kind of exploring that. It's not necessarily an easy question to answer, but because it's something that doesn't seem to have an obvious answer at face value, it's not something that I could seriously entertain without feeling like I'd be, in some way fundamentally untrue to my own beliefs. And I don't believe that humans were meant to do anything like that.
mm,
That's
no,
um,
just not even scientific curiosity.
No, I not really.
It would
No,
be like meeting an alien, just not scientific curiosity, meeting an alien.
meeting is very different from romantically dating.
I never said romantically dating.
You said go
I
out
was
on a
gonna say
date.
that romantic is different.
You said go out on a date.
I
If it's
Just
not,
emotional
there's
support,
not
I guess.
romantic, then it's just seeing a friend.
okay, well, just hang out.
I mean, I'd hang out with one, see what's up, but I wouldn't,
Uh,
yeah.
that's like the lady who
Because
married
I
the
mean, there
AI,
was
basically.
right the lady
It's
that
just there
married
for
her
emotional
AI,
support.
or there
It's
was
not a
talks
physical
about
person.
the physical pleasure bots over in China. So that's why my thought and my assumption jumped there. It seemed like that was what was being asked. So um,
Well,
sorry
that
if I put
that's not what this is. The that lady has mental problems. Um, Sorry about that, but I mean,
yeah.
I don't want to insult her, but
You did.
I know. But whatever makes her happy, I guess. But you know,
Yeah.
uh,
Like I said, if it makes you happy, do it. Yeah. To each his own. That's everyone's opinion. If you decide you can't do someone or find someone in person, that's the other option. But personal
Mm.
opinion, me, no, no, will not bring a robot in my house for the reasons of being in
I
love with
don't
it
have a
or
robot. I will not have a robot in my house.
it's got to take some getting used to. Someone would have to show me some day to day on this robot because I couldn't imagine just like talking to him like I love you. Have a good day. I'll see you when I get home.
Mhm.
Watching
Do you
TV at
remember
night
like
with a robot just warm around it.
do you remember the first
Yeah.
time you saw like an iPhone in person? Like
Ah,
we went from that
yeah.
paradigm shift from the flip phone to the iPhone. Can you imagine how memorable that first time you see somebody walking down the street with their humanoid robot or whatever, see one anywhere, like how, not in a tech demo, but actually out in the wild. How weird would that be? It's
Oh
like the
yeah.
first time Cybertruck in the wild, not with a shattered pane of glass thanks to Elon.
They
Mm.
have they have on that sex robot I was reading about that one. Um I looked at the pictures. I did a lot of research digging into
Oh,
those further than I could show you guys, but that one you could change the head so you can have a different look.
oh,
Um
oh.
Yeah. So people are out there changing the heads, like, oh, this one's ugly, so let me get another one. And then it just has all those facial expressions. Why have a
God.
facial expression on a robot that's meant for sex? That's personally I thought
Because
it was
it's
kind of
meant
weird.
for sex.
They,
That's why.
they want the
Personally, I
whole
thought it was
package.
I kind of thought it was just kind of weird. But
It's
hey, to each his own, man. Yeah.
I I think there are some things that are actually objectively wrong, and I think that's crossed that line there.
Yeah, that's crossed the line. But hey, there's people out there who can't find a date. So I mean, it's convenient
That's
for
not the
some.
solution.
Not the solution.
Right,
Um,
right there.
yeah.
Okay, if it's
Uh,
that frustrating. Uh,
yeah, there was a lot in that article that I could not read because it was on Twitter, so it said a lot that probably shouldn't be said on here. But yeah,
Yeah.
they were talking about massaging its breasts and stuff and rubbing
Well,
its ass and stuff like that. That's a level that's too far.
Well, I'm not, I shouldn't say very familiar. I know about these devices. Ugh. Should I say
You got you
device?
one?
No, I don't have one. I'm just saying device. I'm thinking, I'm getting creeped out because I think it
Objects.
has, well, device. Does it have an IP address? I mean, is it like hooked up to,
A VPN?
no, an IP address? Like, does it
Oh,
actually, is it hooked, is it linked up to the network?
Yeah.
I mean,
A MAC
like that?
address. MAC address would be even more unique, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah, it would need
Something. Yeah, internet
a MAC
connection.
address. They're interlinked. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that it might need some internet. Um, or you'd have to pay for some subscription for it to like stay.
I mean,
That would be
the way they work right now, it would need either some internet subscription or a massive amount of computing power already on board. And I don't think they have a massive amount of computing power on there. At least if it
well.
was to function
there's-
as anything more than just the generic pleasure
Um,
doll.
it could be like iPhone. iPhone when it dies, you can still find it and stuff like that. You can still find it on a map. Like if you're looking for your phone, someone can tell where you are to let you know where your phone is if you lost it. Um,
Isn't
Well,
that just where its battery died, where it was last? Couldn't
no,
somebody just pick
I,
it up
I
and take
I'm
it
not
with it?
100% sure because every time I take my phone with me and it dies, and like I'm on my way home, I always thought of that. Like, can my sister tell me where my phone is or tell me where I am, even when my phone's dead? And she said, yeah. So, I, yeah. So I'm assuming she can just either see where I last was or closest to. Not sure how it was, but yeah,
I
that's
mean,
how
that
a
sort
robot
of
might
device, that
might have a
robot
GPS.
would require an awful lot of RAM,
Yeah, that's a pretty
Yeah,
incredible
you
amount
didn't,
of onboard memory required.
you know,
And yeah, and the heat output just to
you know,
keep everything, you know,
because
it'd
it didn't.
be toasty. That wouldn't be a problem.
yeah. When I was looking at the article on
However,
YouTube, I mean on X about the robot, the pleasure robot, and how they pleasure it or whatever. It was just like so much I read, and I was just like, this is getting awkward. They were talking about slap it on the ass and make it feel emotional towards you and stuff like that. Yeah.
No,
I'd probably have to show you later. I can't show it on here, but yeah,
no
they.
thanks. No thanks. That's good.
no,
I'm okay.
I wanted to end on a joke. Awful lot of RAM.
Uh, I
Okay,
got
There's
you.
well,
RAM in that. Yeah,
uh,
a lot of RAM in that.
you can, a lot of computer runs.
Oh man.
Send them
Yeah.
to send them to uh, whatever this is. Uh,
Yeah. I found it interesting. Like X, they have everything. X, you can find the stuff that
yeah,
everyone's going to talk about. I mean, you can find something that everybody's talking about it in the comments and stuff. And people were there talking about, I'd have one. It can be a third wheel and stuff like that. Uh,
What?
I
Really?
couldn't have it as a third wheel in my relationship either. Yeah, there was lots of comments. I'm not sure what I could say or read on YouTube, but I'm just gonna
Ah.
read the minimum for you guys. Yeah, you can make its rack size as big as you want. This is awkward though because they don't have one for
Yeah.
women.
I mean,
Um,
why can't that be for women?
hmm,
I mean,
it's RAM
it's a,
size.
You just get a little attachment
it's a
feature.
it's,
Mm,
there's an Always
That could hurt
Sunny
somebody.
episode of the the dentist doll, and it was yeah, I guess
Mm,
no one saw that. Yeah, they're very common. Uh,
yeah.
if all right, before I go, look up the Always Sunny in Philadelphia dentist doll.
oh,
Yeah, okay. Oh, you know that? Okay.
I know that. I know that one.
All right.
Yeah,
I
the
don't.
dentist doll. Oh, do you watch Always
Mark is
Sunny?
smiling.
You can't, obviously you're not a religious Always Sunny fan, Pookie, if you don't know the dentist doll.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't watch that one. I seen it, like, I know what it
Yeah.
is, but I
I mean, yeah, just type into Google Always Sunny dentist doll and yeah, there's lots.
take a hard pass.
Huh?
I'm gonna take a hard pass.
No, man, you've already got more than this in your search history. This is nothing. Come on. You're searching for a popular American TV show.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's like the
very
least
funny.
weird thing we've talked about in the last hour.
I could
Just
actually explain. I could explain my reasoning behind my search history, but looking at that in particular, it's like I
Yeah,
look
yeah,
back at
searching
my
for
first
searching
actually.
for a particular episode of a TV show that we discussed
yeah.
on air. YouTube algorithm knows it and has transferred it to the Google overlord, so they probably can auto type this into your search bar for you. They already know to
It's
expect
probably
you
already listening.
searching.
I'm
Yeah,
sure someone's bought one out there. That's
I feel like that I've had my phone auto like like the microphone on my phone is listening to stuff that I'm watching on TV in the background, and I'm likely to pull up and want to search and know more. So it's kind of I kind of, but then again, it is known that some of the stuff that can be done to surreptitiously collect data from people if an entity really wants to know, like, I mean, it can even use your television speakers as a microphone to listen in on what's going on in your house. If the government
Yes.
really wants to, like, they can get it. It's there's no real privacy except for
Um,
the sake of appearances.
There you go.
um,
I put it
what was I
down.
gonna say?
Uh,
Um,
uh,
oh, I forgot what I was gonna say. Uh, something
I
to do
put it.
with what Mark was. Mark, go back for me a little bit because memory
um,
is.
I'm gonna drop that picture and then leave because you got to look at that
End on a high note.
and on a high or low note. So
Hmm.
enjoy
Uh,
that.
how
Yes.
about those rapid fire questions? Can we do that first before you leave? Do you have
Oh, I
any?
don't. I think you pretty much answered that. That was the question I was going to
Oh,
ask
Okay.
him.
Uh,
Would you date a robot? And
yeah. It's
it,
it's an
I don't know.
interesting thought experiment. It's gonna keep me thinking too. I don't know. I don't like the word bigot, but
Gotcha.
I'm not sure that that's necessarily
or at least hang
worth.
out with one.
I'll hang out with one. Yeah. Yeah.
Your
Yeah,
robophobia.
I hang out
Uh,
with one.
I mean, hang out with anybody who's not like overtly gonna be violent towards me, why not? Chill.
You think it's gonna attack you, huh?
Well,
Play video games
I
with
don't
it.
know. Yeah, no more reason to think it's gonna attack me than anybody else. It's just a statement. I'll chill with anybody who's not being a dick to me.
What if you played Grand Theft Auto with it, or played a video game with it online or something? That'd be cool.
I mean, as long as
Um,
it's not a griefer, yeah, I'll let it in my Minecraft server.
as long as it doesn't have to play on hard, because it's probably going to be the best at that. I will not.
I mean, yeah, the timing, I don't do well in like competitive FPS games and stuff. I have poor reflexes and reaction times. That's medically documented and measured, like seriously. I'm in the like bottom 5%. I am
Uh,
bad. So, yeah, pretty much any sort of AI agent, if it's effectively trained to play pretty much any video game. You don't even need a neural network to beat me in any video game, honestly. Just the regular NPCs are already,
Yeah, but that's the thing. It would
um,
be its own person. It's not trained to do anything. It's
mm,
it's like its own, yeah. It's got its own motives, its own life form, sort of.
but it was originally trained, right? Wouldn't it have to be?
Nope. If
I mean, we can't spawn something from nothing. It would have to have come from something.
I suppose, but I guess it would be from our hardware, but I don't know, you know.
I don't know. Yeah, that's a leap beyond the thought experiment at hand, right?
Yeah, that I don't know where it would come from. I don't know what it would be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not.
Okay, so
Yeah.
enjoy. You guys enjoy that photo, and I'll
Mhm.
see you later.
All right. Good talking to you,
you
Kevin.
make it sound so much worse than it is. People are thinking, "What's the photo that he's saying?" It's
Well,
just a
y'all,
GIF, an
Just
emoji. I mean,
yeah,
a GIF of
just
someone.
if you haven't seen it, you can look it up. All right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Dennis Doll, top result on Google image search. Always sunny
Mm.
Dennis Doll. That's all. It's nothing weird. Nothing
There
weird at
is a comment here from Angel. It says, "This is about Always Sunny." It says, "It's like South Park. Always Sunny is great for playing with stereotypes." Correct.
yes.
I've heard
I
that one
think yeah.
before. I've
It's
heard that before.
it's
So,
that's a good comparison. I think Always Sunny is yeah. And it's also like, on par with well, not quite on par, but it's up there with South Park in terms of long-running television shows, How many seasons is it up to at this point? I remember talking about that when I was back in still working at a grocery store. Remember the very first season? DB.
mm,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, Mark, you want to get you a robot?
Nah. No thanks.
They're not that expensive. That's why. That's the only reason I asked. I mean, compared to what we thought they would be, you can get one for the price of a car. Like $2,000 a month. I think Elon said they were really cheap.
Oh, no, still no thanks. I've got enough to do. I
Just
just
gonna knock on your
yesterday
door.
I got my telescope out of the storage unit that we had, brought it home here to the garage. Finally got room for it. So I have my telescope and I got my 3D printer.
Oh,
But
nice.
I built it myself and I never actually fully got it entirely running reliably, but I might. I might finally. So yeah, I got enough. I got enough little things to do. I don't need a robot looking over my shoulder.
Right.
And like
Yeah.
Kevin was mentioning early on, the cognition atrophy, I don't necessarily want to offload any of these things that I'm doing to something else and then lose that potential for experience, you know? I almost feel like kind of like trying to be poetic, but I'm not necessarily, you know, it's that missing out on experience um by making the machine do that, having the machine do that is a greater loss than the benefit from having the help. So I don't know if that was necessarily coherent, but eh.
Oh man. Yeah.
Oh,
It's been great, Mark.
yeah, good talk, good one. 3.5, 3:40, 40, yeah,
Yeah.
3:40 minutes. So good.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Press the like button. Watch us again on Thursday and Saturday. Thursday, Saturday, and Monday morning. The morning show. And if you guys are still here,
Yes.
thanks for watching. And you can go rewatch it if you want to. Find us on Reddit. At
Hit the notification bell. That's one of the things. The notification bell thing on
There you go.
yeah,
Press that
subscribe.
notification bell and subscribe. I sound like a YouTuber now. Hey,
I
I'm
mean,
getting
you
used to
are,
this.
right? We are. Wow.
Yeah. So I'll see you later, Mark.
All right. See ya.